After we're live, I'll take the YouTube video and I'll post it in the groups too.
Okay.
That way I've given everybody the warning and the actual link.
And we're live right now, so.
Welcome to the Hidden Panda Show, starring Panda Poopie, HiddenJewAgenda, and the guest, Taco Tim, or whatever you want to call me. Who knows? But I'm here.
Taco Tim, Temple Tim.
Oh yeah. So how is everybody this beautiful evening?
Doing pretty good, man. Here's where I stand tonight. I just recently, about like 30 minutes ago, seen what SpaceX was doing today. Has anybody else seen anything about that?
Yes. It was amazing. I posted the live stream of the car in Cobra TV yesterday and pictures of the little car with Earth behind it, and it was so nice.
Yeah, that car is straight no man's sky and all the way to Mars.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to get like a gravity boost around the sun, if I'm not mistaken, and then head to Mars and pretty well stay in Mars forever. Like,
oh, is that what? So it's not coming back.
No,
oh,
it's gonna.
No.
It's gonna slingshot. It's gonna go one orbit around the sun, and then it's gonna travel on its way to Mars, where it'll hang out in a Mars orbit for, I think he said like 1 billion years or something crazy like that.
Oh, so we're not landing on Mars.
No.
No.
Like,
Okay.
Earth could be destroyed in like 100 years and all humans would be dead, and aliens would come 1,000 years later and find a Tesla in space.
Well, the whole point of that launch too was to show that like if you watch the launch, the modules that break off, they go back and land themselves back on the ground, so they're not wasted. And they also wanted to prove that they could carry a heavy payload from Earth to space, like in one go. So pretty sweet. We got Grandmie in the chat. What's going on, Grandmie? Grandmie says, "Could I jump into your chat if you absolutely what the
absolutely yes. Grandmie, we love you, girl. Where you been, homie?
Somebody get on that invite. Get Grandmie in here. Hell yeah.
I'll do that as we speak. Where you at, woman? I love Grandmie. She's so awesome.
Oh yeah. Grandmie, if you're still listening, you don't have to ask to come on the Hidden Panda Show. You just come on.
I know.
Our party chat is always open. You just hop in there.
Yeah. Sorry it's taking a second. It's just being a bitch to me. There it is. She should be here. There she is.
Hey guys, you hear me?
What's going on, Grandmie?
Welcome. I love you, Grandmie.
I can't hear you very well.
Oh no!
I just got your
Tell
invitation. Now I can hear you. I had to turn you up.
It is an honor to have you on here.
Yes, it is.
It's not that big of an honor. Yeah, I'm a very tiny fish in a very big pond. Once I was a very big fish in a very small pond, but stuff happens and life moves on.
Come on, Grandmie. As far as Cobra TV and everything goes, we love you and we miss you, and you better be on tomorrow's subcast like you are here tonight on this beautiful.
Oh, I can't do tomorrow.
Oh no.
No, I already talked to Cobra about it because I I made room on Tuesday because I normally. He sent a message out that he was going to do this now, and I said, well, I can't do I won't be able to do Wednesday because I stream with my son on Wednesdays, and it just happened to be that we had to stream this Wednesday because we do it every other Wednesday, so because we couldn't do it Sunday, and then he says, oh, well, it's only an hour long. I'm going to be on tomorrow. And I'm like, tomorrow's family night, and we don't do nothing on family night unless everybody goes someplace. And then sometimes I can do the TV. But for the most part, we do dinner, a game, and a movie. It's because my daughter works a lot. So that way everybody's connected on one day a week, at least. Otherwise, we start yelling at each other and don't like each other.
Well, I mean, that's good, you know, good family time.
Yeah. So what's up? Tim and I have played Fortnite in the past. I just haven't seen you in a while.
I haven't had the opportunity.
Fortnite is a great game.
It is. It's really fun.
And then
we have
Saruko 4 and I have been streaming No Man's Sky together. That's what I've been doing. Just doing some streaming with him and talking about Waking Titan and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Grandmie, since you're here, I'm not going to spend much time mentioning all of this out loud, but would you be interested in helping us out, being one of a few people helping us out in a top secret project involving No Man's Sky and some of the bigger players in the general community?
As long as I don't have to play it in normal, yeah, we're all good.
It's gonna be a cool little thing that we're trying to put together, and I've got Cobra involved, and you know.
Yeah, I'd have done it even if Cobra wasn't involved. I tend to anything that people that work with me or have done collabs with me or are friendly to me, I'll do. I usually will do something with them.
Well,
unless it it's like a whole lot of money,
thing,
that's a little problem.
Oh no, this one thing you're gonna like. We're working on it, and it's in its infancy, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But when it's finished, it's gonna be a really cool thing, and it's you know, I'm real excited for it. So.
Well, that's cool.
We need to talk about this too, because I have so many ideas and they're just wanting to burst out of me right now, and I'm doing everything to hold them in.
You know, you should talk to Saruka 4 because you and him are a lot alike.
I would. I don't mind.
Yeah, you should hook up with him. He started his own website for keeping track. Well, originally the idea was to keep track of all the Alt 4 passes. But then he changed it up a little bit, and the idea is a place where both PC and, you know, regular, like PS4, and eventually down the road Xbox, people who play No Man's Sky could just come together and say, oh, I'm playing this game this time, can somebody come do it? Or I'm doing a stream and I want somebody to come do a stream with me. And it's pretty cool little idea, and he's been working pretty hard on it. So, yeah, you should, he's on PS4. You should check him out through my friends list and just give him a holler.
That's awesome.
I may do that.
Yeah, because you'd probably like some of the ideas he has. The two
so,
of
Grandmie,
you think a lot alike, I think.
Did you see anything involving the recent SpaceX Heavy Falcon 9 launch?
You know, I don't watch much of Mr. Musk's stuff because he's a little bit of an oddball. I mean, he's funny, and when somebody tells me about it, I'm all like, oh, that's really cool. But until he actually puts together, you know, a rocket and he sends people to do something, I'm probably not. I'm probably just going to look at him as this rich guy who's got too much money on his hands.
Well, you know, you do have a point, because instead of sending people, he took a Tesla and threw it into space, and it's going to be around Mars forever.
Well,
so,
and I watched his whole thing on the flamethrower, which was funny also. I mean, it was funny, but it's not really, of all the things that he could do, that's not what goes to my mind. I wrote him a letter when he first opened his Tesla company. I wrote him a letter, and of course, you know, I never heard back from him or nothing, but I wrote him a letter with this idea that he could help the community a lot, you know, whichever community you want to pick, if he did a sponsorship to give away 1 car a month to people that couldn't ever afford his cars, to give them a chance to pay back by, you know, not having gas-powered cars, having electric cars, and being able to also help save the world. Because poor people have a very hard time with that. It's not easy to recycle when your whole life as a poor person is set up for you to buy and throw away, buy and throw away, buy and throw away.
True,
you know,
but a millionaire
and stuff like that.
A millionaire helping people? Oh, come on. You know that ain't going to happen.
But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try and you shouldn't ask them. I mean, that's
True.
Still the
You're
whole
right,
thing is that when we talk about we want to change the world for the better, you have to still give people benefit of the doubt. So I sent him a letter. You know, I didn't hear nothing back, but that was fine. I mean, you have to do what you do, and you go from that. And if I ever got a chance to sit across from him, that's probably what I would say is, you know, There's ways that you can do that. They do it for like therapy, and I was gonna do it where you have the family. You tell people if they pay an extra, $5 or something a month, then 2 or 3 families can come in for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that you're helping out, that people are helping other people out. It's not just, you don't have to feel like it's just your company or just you or just, and there's companies out there that do it. So it's not like it's a, oh, let's try something new and it's not going to work thing. So yeah, that's my viewpoint about rich people.
Hey, if I was a millionaire, I take that back. If I was a billionaire and had as much money as them, there's 3 things that I would attempt to do. Number 1, I would build a functioning Metal Gear. From Metal Gear Solid, I would build a functioning Metal Gear. 2, why not? Come on, who don't want a 200-foot walking battle tank, man?
I think I would rather go with Gundam Knight or something like that. I mean, if you're gonna pick some battle gear that's gonna work, wouldn't you want like a thinking robot all of its own? That'd be way better.
Well, see, all right, guys, that's my number 2. Yeah.
In the chat, we got Johnny B, who's created some expectations for us because he said, "Hey, had to quit watching the 20th replay of SpaceX launch to get here." So appreciate that. Hopefully, we keep you entertained. The stakes are high, Johnny, but welcome back. And he said, "Wow, top secret. I hope you will declassify at some point." Once we get closer to kind of knowing when and all this stuff will start to kind of fall together, then we'll let you guys know what we're working on. But right now it's in the early stages, so we're in the planning stages and getting everybody together and getting it set up, and it's just going to be a cool little thing. I mean, we're really excited about it. It's not like it's not like game changing, but it's just really cool for No Man's Sky fans. So.
Well, and every little thing out there is great, like the printable stuff that 3D stuff. That was awesome. When
I'm so jealous of that.
Painting pictures, that's awesome. I told Cobra I really want to make Nada's helmet, but I'm not quite sure what material I would need to make that helmet. I mean, I could probably do a plastic sheer over the top of it that would give that shininess. And you can usually paint it. There's stuff you can do. But most of the stuff I know about cosplay is used with foam. So, I look at it and I think, because I just like the halo and the way the lights come down on the thing. So that's kind of... But
I thought about that too.
Would be fun.
I've thought about that too, like how to cosplay No Man's Sky and do it efficiently and cheaply.
Well your foam is going to be your best bet.
What was that? We need a No Man's Sky con. We need a No Man's Sky con like Hogan's been talking about.
Yes.
That would be amazing. I swear, could you imagine that? All these haters out there, and then they just find out of the blue that they're having a No Man's Sky con. Could you imagine? I mean, that would get so much media attention just from all these people saying, hang on, I thought everybody hated this game. What in the hell is going on here?
Well,
it would be awesome.
People hate lots of games. I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Well, in my band, I have my guitar player in the band. He started playing No Man's Sky when it first came out. Didn't really like the game. Let him play yesterday, and me and him both put in like over 12 hours.
That's crazy.
He is back in No Man's Sky.
Well,
it's a different game, man.
It is, and that's what he says too.
I always tell people, stop worrying about the people that don't like the game. It's just pointless at that point in time. There's people that don't like anything, then there's people that like some things, and you just forget about those people when they show up. Just say, okay, whatever, you have your opinion, and move on. And that's pretty much what whatever I do. I listen to Rum and Apples, and he hates lots of games. And he'll say to me, oh, I hate this game. He'll talk about, and I'll put on, I said, well, I can hear where you're coming from, because I understand opinion, and I am objectable enough, and I can't say that for some reason today. I have the ability to be objective about things, and I can do that enough to say, look, I hear your opinion on it, I validate your opinion, but I like it, and here's why I like it. Because usually when people tell me they don't like something, I just watched Shammy. I don't know if you guys know him. He does reviews. He did an excellent review of No Man's Sky, but he doesn't like it. But it was an excellent one because he
Hidden.
put points out and he explained about it and he talked about it, and everything that he talked about were some of the things that all of us had talked about as being issues.
Hidden.
Right.
Wasn't that the one that
well enough.
that was the one that you had me watch, right?
I
Shammy?
don't. What's his
The
gaming
owl
channel
dude?
called?
I think I've heard of that video myself. I thought I saw it. I suggested.
Yeah, he does Shammy, and then he does game reviews on Shammy. It's just Shammy, SHAMMY, and then he has Shammy games or gameplay or something like that, which I don't watch. And it was sent to me. Somebody sent it to me and said, "Watch this." And then I watched it. I was all like, "Well, that's an excellent review." I mean, I didn't like it or dislike it, but it was a really great review. When you're talking about how to do a good review and have a debate, it was excellent. But if somebody else had been sitting there, they would have been able to counter some of that stuff. But some of the stuff you can't counter. I mean, it's just the reality is that, you know, Hello Games didn't get their game out at the right time. That's it. You can't argue with that point. That's a fact. So you don't argue it. You say, yeah, okay, yeah. You know it's a point that it didn't do very well at launch. Well, yeah, that's pretty much a point. But they've made better things. But that if you're just looking at the one fact, that's the fact. So I don't do that. When people come onto my stream and they say something like that, I just say, yeah, you're right. And then I go on. Yeah. You know, because it's really, the reason they're coming and finding you to bitch about it is literally that's the reason. They just want you to get angry and get into it and, you know, get some, you know, that negative stuff going. And instead you can just flip it on them and say, yeah, you know, you're right. But here's the things I like about it.
Well, also, what I have an issue with is if you're going to come and hate on a game, but you're just a bandwagoner, you're just hating on it as like part of a bandwagon, you're not bringing any like valuable conversation, then I don't have time for you. But if you come out and you say, oh, well, they rushed the game, okay, fair. Or, oh, you know, the game shouldn't have been charged as a AAA title, it should have been $30. Okay, fair. You know, as long as you're making fair points, okay. I like the game. I'm a big fan of the game. I like it for reasons that are important to me. You don't have to like it. Right. But if you don't like it, give me some points about why you don't like it. Don't dislike something because everybody else doesn't like it. Because then that just makes you a sheep.
I agree with you on that point. I don't like those kind of people either because really what all they're doing is they're trolling. And so it's just another type of troll, and you just have to say, well, you're just a troll, goodbye. You know, if you got some valid points you want to discuss with me, I'll be willing to discuss them with you. If you're coming armed and I'm not, you know, you throw something at me like statistics and how much people did this and how much of that, I'm probably just going to agree with you and say, okay, because I won't know because I don't have it. Soroka and I had that conversation about, you know, he was really excited about how many people like No Man's Sky, and I said, but it's a very small community when we compare it to other, but that's okay because it's a very young game when you compare it to some of these other titles that have been around for a very long time. You know, and people are comparing it unfairly. You can't compare Hello Games and No Man's Sky with Call of Duty or Halo because they've got this long history of doing things, and sometimes they do it badly and sometimes they do it well. You know what I mean? But also, they have a long history, so their track record is much more.
With No Man's Sky, at any given moment, there was only ever 6 people working on the game. So when you think about what they were able to create with a small team and a small budget, they changed gaming. Like it's sort of like Star Wars. No one would give George Lucas money to make Star Wars originally. And
I'm not laughing at you, but.
But when he finally got the funding, his budget was so small that he had to reinvent the way that you make movies and do special effects just to even make the movie. And so out of that, he had Industrial Light and Magic was born, his special effects company, THX Sound, all these different organizations, thousands of jobs were built around the technology that he created. And I think that if Hello Games play their cards right, it's gonna be the same thing. They're going to have this game that came out that a lot of people didn't get or a lot of people didn't like, but the technology that is in the game is what's important. Like we have a procedural universe, 18 quintillion planets. What if you scale that down to, let's say, a Grand Theft Auto size game? What if you could have a whole planet that you can run around in that's procedural and do whatever you want and it's multiplayer, and the technology that he created is going to be important. So, you know,
and I only laugh because I was doing a stream and I compared Sean Murray to George Lucas because that's exactly as you said, because you have these people that have this vision and they can't really explain the vision, in a way that makes sense. But yet they went ahead and did what they could, and then they're kind of at a standpoint like he was after he did the first 3 movies. You know, he was fine, he was okay with it, but he had created this universe everybody loved, and he couldn't walk away from it like he wanted to, because he never really ever had intent to do all the movies. That was never his vision. His vision was only the first 3.
Well, Sean Murray never had the intention originally to release No Man's Sky. It was just his side project.
Yeah, it was like something he was working. One of his friends was like, "Dude, you need to make this into like a game."
It was his passion project. He was making it for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at things like that and you compare them to what is going on in the world, these are the information that people who come to you and say, you know, I tried that game, I didn't like it, I don't know why you like it. They're lacking in some of these things that may or may not make a difference. For me, if I was to play the game, not play the game, like if I was looking at it and I was playing it, I would never be listening to any of that stuff anyway. It wouldn't really matter to me. It's the same thing with Star Wars. I like Star Wars as they are, all of them, even though they're not the way that maybe George looked at it, Lucas looked at it. But I believe in modification and change. That's what makes the world such a wonderful place. If you stay with the same thing all the time, it gets stagnant, and then you lose out on it. And that's why I could read comic books, because you read a comic book, you follow a storyline, and then they get new writers, they get new people, and they change everything up. Now, if you're a person that's into never changing anything, you're pretty much going to be never experiencing new things. So you kind of have to open your eyes up and say, I'm going to try it, and I'm going to try it without all this external stuff. I'm just going to try and play the game and see if I like it. And if I don't like it, that's fine. You don't need to show up on my stream and say, I don't like this game because blah, 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 blah. You just say you don't like the game and move on, man.
Hidden,
it's fine.
Hidden, what do you think about that? Because I know that, like, me and you, like, yeah, we heard the hype, we saw the E3 stuff and all of that, but like our expectations were like we didn't need much, right? Like we didn't need the game to do a whole lot. Like, would you say that that's
my only expectation of the game was to get into a spaceship, leave that planet, and go to the next one. If it didn't have
a full-size planet, exactly. That was mine.
If it didn't have that, I would have hated the game. But it had that on day one, and then I literally was like, okay, this game it obviously isn't done. That's fine. I can take off from one planet to the next. There's space around me. There's space stations. I can sit here and play this until I get everything that I need, and that's what I've been doing. And I haven't hated the game. It's one of my favorite games. It's not my favorite game of all time.
Right. And see, my favorite game, people always ask me, is No Man's Sky your favorite game? It's one of my favorite games. It's not the favorite game. My favorite game will still always be Assassin's Creed. The whole storyline, everything. I love it. Have they done great things like that all the way through? Nah. But I will still play it, and I will still enjoy it. I like Ark. Ark is a new one, too. I play a lot of it in Ark. But I do play a lot in No Man's Sky, too, because of the same exact reason like you said. You get in a ship, and then you have this huge galaxy. And then you have many galaxies, because you got the universe. And you get you can do whatever you want in it, and that is the thing. You could be a builder, you can be an explorer, you can be zoology, you could do just all the languages, you could build a hub and have people come, you can play Olympics, you can look at all the things that people have done with this one little game that this guy had an idea for. Had very little people, like you said, who did it, and really, as you said, the biggest thing that seems to be out there for most of the nerds is the fact that they created this new engine that now could be used in other things. Like they could stop with No Man's Sky as it is, do their last update, walk away, and then use that same technology to create something else.
Yep.
And whether they do or not, or they rent it out or whatever they do, they kind of that's kind of where they need to go if they're smart enough. Now, if they're not and they get stuck in this idea that they have to make this perfect game, that could be their downfall in the long term of it, because there's a lot of things that probably aren't going to be that way with No Man's Sky.
Well, there's a fine balance, right? Because their reputation was damaged at the release of the game. So if they want to release other titles, they need to have a better reputation. The only way to enhance their reputation is by enhancing the game. So they're sort of tied to the game in that way. But you're right.
Yep.
If they put too much time and attention and focus on just No Man's Sky, it's going to take them away from other important things that they can be doing. I think this next update is going to be a big update. It's going to be huge, and it's going to keep us busy for a while. It's going to turn a lot of things around. It's going to bring a lot of people back, and it's going to bring even more positivity to the gaming community about No Man's Sky. And then they're going to probably release. They've probably been working on something already, and in the next year or so, they're probably going to be unveiling another project, I would imagine. So, but
That's what I believe too. Yeah.
Yeah, their reputation just has to be fixed. Johnny B in the chat section says, "I saw the results from No Man's Sky survey was published today." Does anybody have any information on that, or like what exactly he's talking about there?
That's cool because I was looking for one the other day because
no.
I was going to talk about. I was going to talk to you in one of my chats coming up in one of my streams about how small of an audience that they have, but I didn't know exactly how big their audience was because we were talking about numbers when we look at numbers and stuff.
What do you mean audience? Like the total people that play the game?
Okay,
or?
so you have the people who bought you have the people who bought the game at launch. And of course, you lost some people, and then you gained some people, and then they had the update, and they gained some people, and they lost some people. And you have some other people that this next update who had been there for the whole year, they lost some people, they bought some people. So to get an actual number of who's actually out there playing, or I'm not interested in who played, who actually is playing is kind of important because I mean we know there's 10,000 people that they got an answer for. Supposedly, I mean, it was never clarified, but 10,000 people wanting alt passes. So if all 10,000 go out, we know that there's 10,000 people out there. We know that on the last launch, I think somebody said that they sold 1 million copies. But how many of those copies, some of them probably went back to being used, turned in and got used. So you can't really go by that as the actual audience. And the only reason I'm curious about it is because when you're talking about having a convention, that's the audience that you have to look at. And even though, let's say you had 10,000, not all 10,000 people are coming to a con.
No, but the people that did show up with Atlas passes, they would almost be like the high rollers of the No Man's Sky.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is that when you put on an event, because I used to be an event planner, when you put on an event, you have to assume that you'll get 10% of the people that you invite. If you get more, that's great. If you get less, that's sometimes okay, but not, depending on the event. Because you put 10,000, you put money in for a set number, and if that people don't come in, you lose that money. So it's a fine line to pick the amount of people that would be interested. And to do that, you need a survey, or you need some type of a account. Hello Games can only tell you who's bought their games. The percentage of people that have bought them. Maybe GameStop could give you a percentage of what a return is in, like 3 to 6 months. If you get them to answer you if you were interested.
You'd be surprised. They're not very keen. Well, I mean, they know, but it's not like you can access it. It's all in the computer. I'm sure like the higher ups maybe we can, but
the hardest numbers to pull for No Man's Sky are the PlayStation 4 numbers, because PlayStation doesn't publish those numbers.
That's too bad. Because see, you could probably get them to do it. You would have to, if you were doing a convention, if you told them that you'd give them a place in the convention for free, you could probably wheedle them into that, telling them you need that for a business plan. There's ways around to get people to agree to you and doing things. I mean, putting an event together requires you to create a business. Basically, even if you never put another convention together, you kind of have to have that to begin with.
I think there's a lot more people that play No Man's Sky than we think.
Probably. I would agree with you on that. That's usually the case. But that when you're opening up a convention for the first time, you can't guarantee on those ones that you don't know about. You kind of have to plan on. And I only said something because Cobra was interested in doing that, and I gave him some ideas about it, and then it kind of went to the wayside. And then other people have asked and are interested, and it's like, well, as an event planner, you kind of have to see in the future. You kind of have to have a concept of your audience. And we kind of know a little bit who the audience is, but nobody knows how many women are playing No Man's Sky. I'm always surprised when I meet a female place, because probably I would guarantee you for every 20 men, you know, of any age, any male of any age who identifies themselves as a male, you're probably going to get 1 or 2 females, and that's it, if that. And a lot of them are older females that I've met. Have you guys met a lot of women?
Nope, you're the only one.
Well, I'm not the only
meeting,
one. There are others.
As far as meeting, you're the only one, but I've noticed there's always a lot, or generally in chats and stuff.
There's a couple. There's a couple on my friends list. There's one woman from Europe, I want to say Denmark, that she plays, and then there's another a girl from America that she plays.
Yeah, it's Heartphone. I've met Heartphone on.
I think that's who it
YouTube,
is. Yeah.
Who plays, and she's very into it. She plays all 3 modes. And then I just met Getnik Gang has a young lady who does it on Twitch. She plays on Twitch, and she's younger than me, but everybody seems to be younger.
Well, and there's
around the same age as I am.
There's a girl on Twitter. Her name's Melamoni, and then there's also a girl that's in the amino community named Niblet. So there's Niblet, yeah. So, but there's definitely a disparity between the number of people that play No Man's Sky that are female. But more interestingly is that there are a lot of people that live around the world that don't have access to, that bought No Man's Sky but don't have access to internet and things like that.
Right.
And like, how do we get those numbers? Because
there's probably thousands of people that played Waking Titan that didn't interact with the community but played the Waking Titan. Unlock pictures, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah, Tim's right on that. I know a few people that.
Yeah, see, if you were going to build a con, that would be kind of that. There's a period of time in event planning like that where you have to do information gathering, and so you would have to maybe. That would be where you'd have to maybe talk to Hello Games and see if there's been a connection to where they sent their games to stores, to see how many stores returned the game, or how many still had them, or how many sold them. And then you could probably get a demographic kind of going. Another way you could do it is for every person that you knew that had a YouTube channel or Twitter channel or some type of channel that they stream to, they can go and see if their analytics and see who's watching what. And that would give you a baseline. But again, because we know that people will watch games that they don't play. So you kind of, that's... But there's also a lot of people who watch games that do play them, whether they say so or not. So that's, you know, one of those other things that you kind of have to, you know, and that's only if you guys were building if somebody was building a con. I don't know that anybody is. You could probably make good money, but it would be, the first time it'd be a bust.
Well,
I don't
be a bust.
I don't think that No Man's Sky is big enough to have a con.
I do, and the New York escape room is the proof, because whenever they told people to show up in a bright shirt with a black book, and everybody followed the purple umbrella man, did you notice how many people was in that line by the time they made it to the building? And that was just for that one little event in New York. We don't know none of these people. Half of those people aren't part of the active community. I think there's a lot more people out there that are into this game and play this game and probably just listen to these channels but don't interact, that would show up to something like this if it was in a place that they could get to, or they had the financial means to do so.
I mean, you're not gonna, like, somebody out in California that hears No Man's Sky Con in Florida, like, I don't think people are suiting up and going and taking a trip to Florida just for it.
No, it'd either have to be small. You'd have to build it like, you know, okay, so you guys all know the San Diego Comic-Con, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys
I got Lexington Comic-Con here.
What if
when
you did
I
it
was
city by city?
Right, when I was younger, way younger, before you all were born, how they started out with the Comic-Con was basically they went to wherever the biggest comic book sales were for things. So in California, it was Sacramento, California had one. There was none past Sacramento, so nobody in the Northern California area, which there's a huge population up there people forget about. None of them would have been able to go to it. They would have had to come down to Sacramento. Portland had one. You had one in Seattle. You had one, and you still have some of those because they still have big comic book things. But then they started pushing them into just really big. But for a long time, it was itty bitty. I remember I went to the first Comic Con in 1980, and they had been doing it for a while. And I went, and it was just like going to a flea market. Like, I don't know if you guys know what a flea market is. Like
oh yes, I do. I'm in Kentucky, kind of girl.
So, well, some people have, some places have them, some places don't. Some people call them something else, you know. Some people call them like swap meets.
Yeah. Swap meets, flea markets, you name it, girl.
Yeah, you'd walk in, it was just tables of people selling stuff. That's all it was. There was no guest stars. There was no nothing. At that time, what was more popular was Autorama. Autorama, you know, had this thing. So one of the guys I knew that put on the one in Sacramento, he was all like, I want to do more of this. I want more. And I said, you should go to Autorama. And he's like, what? I don't like autos. I said, just go to Autorama. I swear, you'll get there and there'll be something you like and you'll enjoy it and you'll understand. And he did, and he came back, and then he started building it with a couple of other guys. He ended up selling his portion of the Comic-Con stuff way before it ever got to San Diego, just because it was a year-long commitment. You had to build for a whole year to get something to go, because you had to, you had to get the people to come in, you had to rent the place, you had to do, it was all kind, and insurance and all that stuff.
I know how this, you can get around all that generally easy. Is anybody aware of, I'm sure you are, the movie The Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
Everybody knows this movie. Well, I can't remember what day it is. I think it's in May. Once a year, I think it's the anniversary of the release of the movie. There's like a Big Lebowski Day that's just a nationwide random holiday. It was created by fans, where in cities around the United States, people just go to bowling alleys or go to people's houses, gather together, or go to local centers, watch the Big Lebowski, drink White Russians, and dress up as him and play and bowl. And it's almost like a Comic-Con for just that movie Big Lebowski, but it was never really official. But it's slowly over time, as more and more fans, it became like a cult classic. And that's what I see No Man's Sky becoming. I see it, once it's developed and done, you'll have all these new people that never played it will get in and be like, oh my God, look how amazing this game is.
Well, look at
what we went through.
Look at Blade Runner. Blade Runner was a box office bomb. Nobody went to go see that movie.
Yep.
People didn't understand it. At the time that it came out, it was way too heavy. It went right over people's heads. Now it's considered to be one of the greatest sci-fi films ever made. So, you know...
That's right, though. The new one went over everybody's head, too. So
the new one was
really
fantastic.
Sad. It was way sad. It was way sadder than the first one. I was like,
it was sad, but it was deep. I liked it. So we got Colt in the chat. What's going on, Colt?
Cool.
Welcome back.
K5 in there. Oh yeah.
Johnny B says it was an informal survey of maybe 1,400 current players. It was done by one of the community groups. Sorry that I can't remember what their name is. No problem.
Ask him if it was one of the Facebook groups, because they do that quite often.
Yeah, was it?
Well, I mean, you can hear me, I assume, buddy.
Thanks for hitting the like button, K5. And appreciate the love, dude. I love you, Panda. Love you too, man. And just so you guys know, anybody that's watching now and will watch later, Colt is on Twitch. K5 is on Twitch with Boondock and some of those other guys over there too. So if you guys are on Twitch, definitely go check out their channel. We're going to have part of our channel on Twitch at some point as well. So we've already got a username over there if you want to go follow us. We just don't have any videos yet, but we're going to be doing some things with Twitch moving forward as well. And we're developing a podcast. So we've got that coming as well. But anyway, yeah, definitely go check out K5RT over there. Check out Iceman Third ID. Check out Boondock. Check out all of those guys, so get the whole crew over there.
I have a Twitch account, but right now all I'm streaming to it is Destiny 1. I'm going to start doing Battleborn on Fridays.
I'm in the process of creating a YouTube channel of making pretty well characterized videos of different games, where each game or each stream that I play will be me playing the game in a different character mode, probably drunk for a good portion of the time. And it's either going to go along the lines of Taco Poop Tim or the Drunken Taco, or maybe both, or God knows what.
I like.
There was a bunch of them that did that. They did. A group of them all got together and would drink and play. What was that one called?
I can already see the logo.
The drunken taco. I can too.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Taco, it's like holding a 40 or something. You know what I mean? Like drunk.
yeah. And make the meat look like a turd, since my name is Taco Poop when I'm playing.
Yes.
Hey guys, we got so Johnny B says it's not a Facebook group, but he thinks that they have a president or something. And then K5 says it's a good idea. No Man's Sky on Twitch is a tight community. We could rule the worlds. Yes, dude. All 18 quintillion of them motherfuckers. And Rain First says, hello, what's going on, Rain First? Thank you for coming back.
Welcome back, Rain. Welcome back, Rain.
Always good to see you in the chat. K5 says drunken taco is it. So there you go, Taco Poop.
Homie. Got you, Feeble. Got you. I've been thinking that myself.
It's not Taco Tim. It's not Tinfoil Tim. From now on, it's Drunken Taco. Tim is the drunken taco.
Yeah, do me a favor,
Tim,
make me a logo, folks.
I will. You know what, Tim? Remind me. I don't know if you can get it to my YouTube or whatever, but I also have a Twitter. If you can remind me, I'll make you a drunken taco.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of making. I need a YouTube channel that I can connect to a cell phone, and my PlayStation, of course. That way I can get it all done, because that's all I own is a really cheap Android phone and my PlayStation. So.
That sounds like a really, really bad alcoholic drink. If you go to a bar and you're like, I want the drunk taco. Like, could you have it?
They look at you and say, "Oh, you're wanting the hard stuff tonight, boy."
Yeah, we're gonna shake you up and spin you around. What was that drink called?
Drunken taco.
That they give you?
That just sounds like something that gives you like wicked next day shits, and I don't want to take part in that. Rain First, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Is everybody else doing fine? I'm sure you guys are.
Yeah, doing
yeah.
I ain't dead yet.
That's a good sign.
So, other than the survey, has anybody else heard anything interesting that's going on with No Man's Sky and or Waking Titan? There's nothing going on. I mean, that I found, but I just thought I'd ask and see if anybody else is.
I believe we are waiting on a confirmation email from the old gods saying that all of the Atlas passes have been shipped, because they told us that they would email us when they're all shipped. They wouldn't tell us if we got one or not. They would just tell us once they're all shipped. And that email has yet to come down. But when it does, because they've told us, be prepared. I mean, they're like, it's quiet now, but it's not going to be soon. Something's about to happen, and when it happens, it's going to be big, baby. And I'm ready for it.
Dude, the big clue out there at the live drop was sleep, REM sleep. The guy was asking, did you get enough sleep? The ARG is it's gonna go fast, and it's gonna go hard, and it's gonna be intense. Once it finally kicks off.
Yeah. Just like my sex life, fast, hard, intense, baby.
How do you guys feel about the question that's been floating around YouTube about, I think Twitter too, about how some of the bigger YouTubers didn't get their pass, whereas lots of unknown little people got their pass. The only reason I find this interesting is because I think that if they're not getting alt passes, those other people are going to be getting something else.
Every time I look at my, that's possible. That's possible. See, everybody that actually received an Atlas Pass and confirmed online in some way that they got an Atlas Pass, then Hello Games, they're monitoring all of us, so they know who is actually getting the Atlas Passes, and they know who is interacting with the community. There's always a chance, out of the blue, one of us even, or just a random person that joins in these chats, may get an envelope through the mail someday. It says classified.
Oh, yeah.
And God knows what's inside of it, and then we're all posting like crazy on the groups, like, man, what is this? What's going on?
Mac 4-Day has a pretty good theory on that, about like how these YouTubers that have larger channels haven't gotten anything, and that it's probably because they're gonna get something that kicks the rest of the ARG off, or at least this phase.
That's what I was thinking.
I kind of like it.
If they hadn't already get it, then because Cobra's gotten other stuff before, so I was kind of thinking that some of these people might be getting something else. They might just be getting a special alt pass that isn't going to be mailed out.
Cobra is by far.
I love it.
Dude, it's awesome. Cobra by far is the largest No Man's Sky channel out there, and if he hasn't got one, it's like Hello Games knows Cobra. They know about Cobra. They know of the subcast. They know of all of that. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I was wondering if anybody knew some of the Reddit guys who last time around you found out were, like in connection to or were moderators for the Waking Titan.
Some of the Reddit mods, yeah.
Yeah, if they, I don't do Reddit. There's a whole reason I don't do Reddit, but sorry for the baby in the background. He's a little noisy at the moment. He's very excited about something. He's got his space gun out and shooting things.
No Man's Sky, of course.
So I was just curious. He plays it. Yes, he does. I was just curious if any of you had heard from the Reddit mods either too about that. Like, did they all get their all pass or they're not? Because it seems that everything I hear is from YouTube or Twitter, but very quiet on the Reddit side.
I very rarely look at Reddit because the community can be sort of negative a lot of the time. So I spend a lot more time on like Amino or YouTube or Twitch. So I'm not really sure what's going on then.
Anemo guy. So is there any big guys on the Anemo hub that have not received their outpass?
No. Not that I know of. I'm pretty sure that anybody of note in the Amino community probably has theirs.
All right.
In the chat, real quick, we've got so Rainfur says that they've been playing Monster Hunter World. Is that game good? I've been hearing it's good. I really want to cop it. I also want to cop the new Shadow the Colossus game, and I'd like to stream that because I love that. That was like one of the best PlayStation 2 games I've probably ever played.
Well, it is that same PlayStation 2 game, just rebuilt totally from the ground up.
In like with like 4K support, like the whole nine. It's gonna look great. Mock Tone is in the chat. Welcome back, Mock_Tone. Check out his YouTube channel. He's got a really cool video. Tim, you're gonna like it. He's got a cool video where he does like a review of No Man's Sky, and he says a lot of beautiful things about the game and how he feels about it. So definitely check him out. And welcome back to the chat, Mock Tone.
Will do. Welcome, my friend.
Dean Lynch just said, I just fell through the map on this game. That's unfortunate. And
I have to laugh because who is that? Ibrahim? How do you say that? Ibrahim thinks I'm too old to be playing playing video games, I'm assuming.
But Grandmie,
he says he's joking.
You're never too old to play video games.
That's why you breaking boundaries. You're breaking all the rules.
I'm not really playing video games. I had some guy come on my chat and tell me he knew I wasn't really playing. It was my son was playing while I did the talking. I was like, okay.
Oh, you're getting conspiracy theories now?
Yeah, I'm like, what's the purpose of that? My son, if you watched him play video games, he's not very good. He's worse than me at times. So I don't know what the purpose of that is.
Ibrahim, we know you're joking, buddy. We're just talking shit over here, man. We know you're joking.
I'm just janking your chain there, buddy, because I see you every once in a while in chat. So
Johnny B says the survey was done by the Galactic Hub project. Yeah, I'm gonna need to check that out.
Galactic Hub. I forgot about the Galactic Hub projects.
Shh, don't say that. Don't say that.
Shh.
You didn't forget about them. It. You always remembered them.
Well, no, I mean just in the last few minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because they're OG. They were the first hub. Now you gotta can't forget those guys.
I have the Megalic Federation that's taking over a section of space. So by God, if you come across a planet that has the word Megalic in the name or a system. I'm like a virus out there, and Euclid, that's my bitch.
I'm sure she's very happy about that too.
I have a girlfriend, and her name is Sony.
You should watch Rum and Apples and Bearded Gamer. He's funny. He's like that too. He's pretty funny. Only it's about his keyboards.
Hold on, guys. I don't know what this comment means. But it has to be the single greatest comment I've ever seen in my life. Somebody explain it to me. I don't know what this means, but to me it just sounds funny. He says, if I was there, I would hit you with a sock full of butter. What does that mean?
Is that you or me?
Butter.
Is that frozen butter, or is it refrigerated butter, or just on the softer side of butter?
It better be soft butter.
Because if you get one of those cubes of butter that's come out of the refrigerator, that would be like being smacked around with soap. It'd be pretty painful.
Only if there's a live salmon involved, I approve.
With the butter. You want to
why a salmon?
Soccer butter and salmon.
It's got to be a live salmon. Yeah, I want it to be on the ground flopping. And if I can just watch that fish just flopping away, by God, you can beat the hell out of me with butter all day long. Butter me up, baby.
Well, Ibrahim says it's going to be frozen butter. So.
Ooh, frozen butter is painful, man. You're gonna.
Painful.
Oh.
You're gonna have some welts
up in here now.
We used to chuck frozen butter beads. We'd cut the butter up in, you know how they come in little butter pieces? When I was in the military, we'd undo those little butter pieces and flick them across. And if you got caught, of course, you got in a lot of trouble and had to clean the bathrooms or whatever. But I was already working in the kitchen, so it didn't matter.
All right, we're getting into 50 Shades of Butter right now, so.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, Ibrahim got the idea from the show iCarly. Speaking of, like, hitting people with weird things.
A whole lot of stuff.
When I was in middle school, we used to get these, like, juice packs. They were, like, grape and, like, strawberry flavored, like, juice packs. And sometimes they would be kind of frozen, and they were gross. And what bullies used to do is they would run into the stalls with these juice packs while people were peeing, like, in the urinals. And they would throw them in the urinal water, and it would splash their own urine back on them.
Wow.
I don't know what made me think of that, but that happens.
Well, that's kind of unfriendly. That's like really unfriendly.
Just let that visual sink in. Don't even know why I said it.
No, that's all right.
I just had to tell you the story.
You know? You had to tell me the story. I'm sorry. Hopefully that you evaded the whole juice slushy pee urine smacking.
Didn't happen to me.
I have a better one. You know that sand that's at a baseball field that's like really, really fine? It's like almost powder sand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in my middle school days, we would get a condom, fill it up with that sand, try to squeeze all the air out that you could, tie one end of it, and you technically have a stretch arm dick. Like Stretch Armstrong. And you could sling that mother through the air, and I swear it would stretch like 4 foot long, and you would just see a big giant spinning penis boomerang in the air, and it was so amazing. But it was funny until people noticed, and then they're looking at you like, oh my God, they're slinging a condom around.
Well, I can see people adults being upset about it, but it'd still be hilariously funny. I mean, the first question in my mind as a teacher's aide would be, where'd you get the condoms, dude?
Well, at the time,
CVS.
I had a 10-inch. At the time, I had a 10-inch red mohawk. So, and I'm living in like a tiny little redneck town in Kentucky with a 10-inch red mohawk, slinging stretch arm dick condoms through the air, and it stood out pretty well.
I'm really glad the sentence didn't end at the time I had a 10-inch. Because that would have been weird.
I was reading about that. I was thinking.
I was going the same way. I was like, you know, that's funny as fuck.
Get the butter out, baby.
There's a whole bunch of jokes that go with that, you know. It's like a whole bunch of measurement jokes that go with those kind of things anyway.
And what were you doing with a 10-inch mohawk in middle school?
I was a pretty well little punk rocker, man. Like I had like the jackets that I'd paint the sleeves and stud it out, and I was pretty out there. I mean, if you've ever watched SLC Punk or something, I was a punk rocker. I still kind of am. I have to tone down for work though, so. Man, I'm getting old.
Like in the 80s.
I've got damn near an inch sitting in my earlobes right now from where I've stretched them. I have my conscience pierced, my septum ring pierced.
My ears and my labret. I have that pierced in my ears, yes. Yeah, and my ears are, you can see through my ears. They're not big, but they're holes.
Well, I had plugs for a little while, but the fibromyalgia issue I have causes skin disorder problems, and I have a skin disorder, rosacea, and anything in my ears now, it's like melts my ears. Like it's really painful, and you know, it's not real fun. So I had to quit. I had to take my plugs out and all that. And I was a little punker in the 80s, but I was 1980. I was 16 years old, 15 years old, and punk rock was just coming into California in the parts of California where I live. So.
Whoa,
You know what?
Are you from California, Grandmie?
Yes, I am. I was born in Sacramento, California.
Ooh, baby, Cali girl.
I'm from San Diego.
Ooh,
Well, San
Cali
Diego had the
boy.
punk scene way before that.
And then
I had friends that were skating in the pools because of the they were doing it down there. But yeah,
I moved
Oh, I
to,
miss
I moved to
skateboarding so
Tennessee.
much.
I moved to Tennessee in 2003, and I miss Cali a lot, but I have grown to like the South.
We are
Well,
close,
you know,
man. We need to
when
meet
you move
sometime.
places that you
Well,
like,
I was at it,
you end up finding things. I moved to Oregon, and I really like Oregon. I mean, I slowly moved my way north. I went from Sacramento to Redding to Springfield. So, and I'm sure we'll move again at some point in time. And I like Oregon way better than California. But
My
when you were
mom
growing
lived in
up,
Redding.
California was an interesting place.
Yeah.
I've only been to California one time, and that was before I went to Australia on an airplane. We landed, had to spend the night, and then flew on to Melbourne.
Well, Australia would be way better to go to than California. When I went to Germany, that they were all like, "Oh, you're a California girl." I'm like, "Yeah," and they were like, "So do you see movie stars?" Well, I'm not from that part of California. There's another
Not
part
from
of
Hollywood.
California. Yeah, it's quite a bit of California when you consider that you can fit 60 million people in it, and that's only half a state. It's a
Right.
pretty
Yeah,
big place.
You could fit 60 million people in my ex-girlfriend, but you don't hear me bragging about it.
Oh my god.
Is that a deep hole joke we got going on now?
Deep hole
fuck
joke.
some butter. Fuck some butter, man. I want some margarine and some olive oil, baby.
Oh my
Yeah, we
god.
can always expect Tim to have some strange off-the-wall
I know.
statement that
I
comes
love
popping
it.
out
You
that everybody has a dead silence for just a second,
Oh my
and then
God,
we have to
dude.
figure out, is that funny or not? So,
No, that's really hilarious. I think that's really hilarious. Good job. Tim.
Parental discretion is advised.
sure. Well, I hope. I had somebody came in on my channel and was upset because I said fuck. And I was like, do you guys not read the descriptions? Adult language. Adult language is usually all those words that you don't like little kids to say, and
Okay.
or concepts.
So I'm gonna have to put this in after the fact because I don't think I've ever put this in a video. But this channel is definitely not family friendly unless I specifies that a video is gonna be family friendly. I don't think I've ever gone an entire stream and not cursed or made a weird. I think in one stream I said that I was gonna wear a Borat bikini and pour baby oil down my ass crack. So
Yeah, you said. Hang on.
Dude,
You
I
said
dressed
some-
up
you
as
said some-
Borat for Halloween. I traded people bags of hair, told them that they were like pubes from like Kazakhstan for candy, and they took it. They took it. It was so amazing. I still have my Borat costume.
That's too funny.
Oh my
I
God.
Johnny B
once-
says he's
we got
from
Matt.
We all
Minnesota.
have funny things we've done.
Minnesota
Nice,
man.
Minnesota man. And then we got Matthew Gidding.
I've never
Welcome
been to
back.
Minnesota.
Says howdy, just popping
He
in to
says-
see what's up.
What's up,
I've
brother
just
man?
been
How you doing?
Crazy.
Here's what's up.
Crazy stuff.
We've got Taco Tim in the chat today. We've got Grandmie,
Drunken
Hidden Jew Agenda
Taco.
here as always. So
What up?
interesting conversations afoot. Enjoy.
Well,
Oh, that's an
I was told by
understatement.
Sirocco that
Remember-
I tend to start interesting conversations, but I think Tim beats me on that. I think he starts way more interesting conversations.
We
There's
should've
always
named
that,
it-
that point where I have to go, should I really even chime in at this point? I think I just let it go slowly in that direction.
Tim is literally one of my heroes, and I fully mean that, Tim. I really do. You are one of
Well,
my
I
heroes.
think that Tim
I have a
confuses people at
superpowers
times.
in my. I have superpowers in my left nipple. So
Why the
Only my
left
lip.
one specifically? That is so weird.
So it doesn't get in the way of the right hand.
yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point that I didn't think of. I wonder. I can't understand my nipple sometimes. It's like it has telekinesis. Like I'll be sitting there, and the next thing I know, it's lifting something up. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Stop it. Your
Bro,
nipple. Come on.
Your nipple is part of you. You control your nipple. Tim's talking about his nipple
Not if
like
it's
it
an
has a life
alien,
of
look
its
at-
own.
No, wait. In Total Recall, remember the guy had that thing growing out of his back?
Oh dear God.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, see, and that had a life all of its own because it was doing things that the other person was kind of going, well, I don't know what's going along because he's the intelligence, he's the brain.
Oh my god, I'm getting attacked.
Oh my god, I've got something growing out of me. Oh, it's just my penis.
See, and his penis would be doing things that he wasn't aware of late at night. It would just roam away. You really need to, Tim, you really need to go listen to Rum and Apples because they have a running gag going about detachable dick technology.
It likes Saturday Night Fever for some reason. It starts dancing the disco, and it's the scariest thing I've ever witnessed because I can't get it to stop. It's just staying alive, staying alive. I'm just not going to go there. Oh yeah, you say that now, but trust me.
It's a talent. When you have a talent, you should be happy about that. Lots of people don't have talent.
Yeah, but if I exploit this talent, I go to jail.
That's true.
Go out there and be like, hey, look at this. What a Walmart.
You need to contact my
Walmart.
daughter. She wants to open up a adult entertainment thing, and you'd be able to come with your amazing penis. It'll be Drunken Taco and his amazing penis.
And his psychic booby.
There you go, see?
And his 10-inch paws mohawk.
Yeah, 10-inch.
Big, huge
I
paws, you know?
don't have the mohawk anymore. I just have hair that decides to do whatever the hell it wants.
But you have hair.
I did. I did say something about you and tacos. My daughter, who we call She Who Shall Not Be Named, that's how she's known on the internet and in the chat. She just yelled down the thing and said, "Did you say something about me and tacos?"
Hey, the name...
Well, no. One of the guys on here, Tim, his new YouTube channel is going to be called The Drunken Taco. But he has a dancing penis.
I will not show that on the YouTube channel. I promise.
All right, so she said it would be way funnier if you were a female. I agree with her. It would be way funnier if you were a female called the Drunken Taco. But you know, well, hey, it is what it is. So
I can always tuck it between my legs and have it dance under my butthole, and it look like I'm trying to wiggle a turd out.
Well, I don't think she cares about the dancing penis. We just thought it would be funny to be the Drunken Taco. And
they call that a bat wing. Just so you know.
Bat wing. Oh, there's some weird words out there. I'm telling you.
Only on the Hidden Panda Show will you get conversations like this. So please join in.
That's not true. You get them on my channel too. I just don't get anybody that wants to have conversations like that on my channel.
Oh, if you want me to go in there
and talk about No Man's Sky.
if you want me to go on your channel and dirty it up, I'll dirty up your channel.
Oh baby.
Well, my channel gets dirty up all by itself. I'm sure if I wanted to. I just don't have that audience. You know what I mean? That's not the people that come to show up. They would all be like running, like I said. They'd be saying, "You said the F word." I did say the F word.
Let me get the butter.
Okay.
So Johnny B says, last weekend was ice golf and ice fishing for me. I've heard of ice fishing. I've not heard of ice golf. Sounds dangerous. I don't think I'd do it. Johnny B says, water comes in blocks where I live.
That's what she said.
Water comes in blocks? Wow.
That's what she said.
Yeah, Minnesota gets kind of cold.
Where I live, water comes in.
Golf. Does he play the ice golf? Do you play it like on like a pond, like hockey, or do you play it on the golf course that's filled with ice after they've like squirt down the grass? Because that would be kind of interesting. I mean, you do some slip sliding stuff going on.
I'm assuming if he gets his water in like solid cubes, they probably go out like on a frozen lake and just play golf the same way we would on the golf course.
That's called hockey. Normal. See, it's just hockey. When you play, even if you got a ball, it's still hockey.
I got it. This is what you do. You go to the opposite end of the pond, right? You cut a hole. You go on the opposite end of where the hole is, and you try and make your golf ball in the fun hole.
Just like
that's it.
Ice golf, dude.
That's it.
He's gonna tell us. We know this, right? Johnny B's gonna explain to us about how he does golf.
Hopefully, he said HiddenJewAgenda nailed it. But I doubt it.
He may say that anyway and say, "Yeah, we'll just go with that." Yeah, that's what that is.
Hey, Hidden, I just found my 11th glyph.
Oh, okay. See that?
So,
I still haven't found any damn glyphs. Not one. I haven't even seen a single portal since the Foundation update. Not one.
Are you still in the first galaxy?
Yes, I stay in Euclid.
Oh.
Well, I can give you many, many addresses to portals if you're interested. I can actually give you the coordinates to it and tell you how to get there.
Johnny B says, like mini golf on a lake, only bigger. Tim, so
Okay,
Hidden,
see,
while I've got
so-
you on the chat, Tim sent
Yes.
me his signal booster coordinates to his regular mode planet as well as his
Creative, yes.
creative mode, and you have
Yes.
all 16 glyphs. So whenever he needs assistance finding a portal, all he has to do is build a signal booster. You have all the glyphs, and you can just warp to his planet, and you'll end up where there's a portal, and he's got a portal, and boom, there you go.
So I have so I wanted to say something to you guys that I've been doing lately in my streams. You guys
Yeah, what's
want to? Did you want to hear about that? All right. So I've been looking for the red dwarf system, which is in lore supposed to be the Gek homeworld, right? I kind of have some ideas about that because I'm not sure that that's really how it's playing out. But anyway, so you have to do that. You have to find an M system. What I've been noticing is all M systems, whether they're Viking, it doesn't matter which alien people they are. All M systems have exotic planets in them. The ones that have the big giant round circle ship portals. Okay, but they have to. If it's a Gek one, it has to have more than 3 planets on it for that to qualify. Because otherwise, if it's rare to find a 2-planet system with Gek. Usually, it's 1 planet or 3 or more, and the 1 planet one always has a portal on it. And it's just the 1 planet. That's it. It's not exotic. But if it's 3 and more, and especially 6, if it's a 6-planet system, which is technically the system that you're supposed to find for the red dwarf, because it's 3 planets and 3 moons. But if it's a 6-planet system of any variation, because I haven't found the 3 planets, 3 moons yet, you'll have at least one exotic. I have them all. I pretty much have it listed. I've gotten the ones that I call the Hersey Kishes, which is those volcano ones. You know which ones I'm talking about, with the light shines up through it and comes out, and it's just round.
Oh, yes,
and then
yes,
the bubble
yes,
planet,
yes.
and then the shard planet, and what was the other one I went to? The hexagon planet. I finally found a hexagon planet because I had
The hexagon planets are so neat.
Yeah, so I now have found those, and all of them have been in an M system. So, and the M system. So the funny thing about this is when No Man's Sky was first created, they used the what you would be the Earth American. I think it's used international, but we'll just, because I don't know for say, we'll say national. The national way that the astronomy, space. I don't remember what our national government one's called, but so they classify systems by stars, and it goes from there's like B, C, A, M. There's a couple of them. It's not like A, B, C, but there's M and there's O and there's E and each one of them is the type of star that it is. And so M systems are like the systems that are closest to that we could live on, like humans could live on them. Right. And any of the aliens will carry the M systems. So my theory lately has been, having been on there, well, first of all, there's been some subtle changes in No Man's Sky, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed that when you've been playing it. Have any of you noticed some of the little things that are popping up that weren't, like labels that weren't there before, are now starting to be more prominent? I used to see them every once in a while, but I didn't see them all the time, and now I see them all the time in creative, and I never used to see them in creative at all, and now you see them in creative. There's just a little more variation is going on in the planets, and other people have agreed with me, because remember how rare it used to be to get butterflies? Remember how rare it was to find the butterflies, right?
Yeah.
In the last month, in the Gebnip gang, 2 of the guys who play No Man's Sky, that's all they do. They stream No Man's Sky. They don't really stream anything else. They just play it. They have found about 4 variations of butterfly. I found 3 on planets, and mostly M planets, M system. But it's just weird little things like that. Or there was these cute little dinosaurs. I don't know if you guys saw that one either. They were little green, like little squeaky toys. That's what they look like, little squeaky. I had never seen them.
Yes, I've saw those things before too. They're so pretty.
So those are popping up. People are seeing variations on the diplosaurs. Just weird stuff. It's just odd, itty bitty, tiny stuff. what I think is going on is they've been, if you've noticed, sometimes the servers have been down or not working very well, or they kick you off and say you're offline and you can't get into the thing.
Yep.
I think they're working in the servers. So they can do programming in the servers that has nothing to do with us. Because you only get an update when they're basically giving us the instructions to create the game at the next level. That's what an update is. That's when they've changed something so that when you get there, you have the stuff you need to make the game run the way it is. Because technically you can run it as a vanilla. You don't ever have to have any of the updates. You can just play the game as it first came out if you want, or you can just play it as the foundation. I've met some people that do that. Or some people only wanted the uprising and didn't want any of the stuff afterwards. You know, some people just like I said, just do the vanilla. So what an update is the coders give us set instructions so that when we go on, we see the new stuff, right? But they can do little things that wouldn't require any update, or they could, when they gave us the last update, would have that code in it also. But so that's why I
see that, because I do remember an interview way before the game came out of Sean Murray saying that he could change the game or add anything without you even really knowing.
Right.
Yep.
And that's absolutely true. Any person who's created anything, any type of program, will have the ability to change the program without a person who has access to the program knowing that. The only people who are going to know are the coders, because they're going to be the ones who will go on and they'll be like, oh yeah, this line's no longer in existence. Oh, hey, we've modified this line. To change something to purple to blue, it doesn't require us to have an update. They can just go in there and change, 17, portal planets. Because one of the things I noticed about the portal, and I do a lot of portaling. I know you guys know that, right? That's pretty much all I do is just go from, I map systems. Right now I'm mapping M systems, but I map systems and I find the portals and then I give the coordinates and then I put in a booklet. I have a booklet of them and I have well over 100, if not 200 by now. And so the interesting thing that I've been finding out about portals is you still have the moon glitch, which is interesting to me. Because I would have thought that would have gotten fixed, because they had been told about the moon glitch and they didn't tell the glitch. And that's the one, if you're thinking about the same one I am, it's the one-way portal. Is that the one you're thinking of the moon glitch?
I was thinking of the one where it looks as if the planet disappears. It's almost got like lines around it, and when you land on like another planet that's close to it, it looks as if the planet you're standing on has rings around it. When it's not, it's actually, for some reason, a glitch that the planet's not loading into space correctly, and it looks just like
that's not the one I'm
black
talking about.
hole or something.
So there's a portal glitch that I call the moon glitch, and a couple other people have. So if you had put let's say your base is on a lush moon, right? And you put your base there, and you go to find your portal. You'll get a portal address, but you can go out, but nobody can come in. Because technically the portal doesn't really exist. And that was a glitch that was created, that happened after they allowed the portals to become existence. Because there were portals, remember before the big update, people were running around getting portals, but the portals didn't work. They were just collecting them and telling where they were at. Once the portals went online, there's a glitch that's only on moons. It's the only time I've seen it is on moons. And people would be sending me stuff going, nobody can get to me. And I'd try, and it would send you to the first planet in the system. You'd try the moon one, because there's a way to do just moon portals, and it would never get you there. But they were on it, and they could get off it. You could fly to it and use the portal to go anywhere you wanted. And you could come back then, because it's still open portal, but you could not portal in. So a lot of people moved off their moons after they had collected the moons with their portals on it. I still find that one every once in a while. Somebody will give me an address and I'll go there and I'll end up on this moon, but I can't get off the moon. So I'm like, oh, well, that's a portal. And I had said something in Reddit about it, which that was kind of why I don't do Reddit much. And they were all like, well, we already listed that. Okay, but don't you think it's interesting that they haven't fixed it?
They still haven't added in what the purpose of the giant gold balls is either. They haven't put anything in the game for that, and they're going to eventually, or the ball wouldn't be there rolling around for the hell of it.
I don't know. I always kick those into caves, so I have no idea. I just roll them into caves whenever I find them.
I
Yeah,
tried
I
and
think
then
it's
get
down one
aggravated.
not too long ago, and I pushed it the hell off there just to do it.
Yeah,
and
I
watched
just push it down
Mhm.
into it and then
5
goodbye.
minutes.
The other portal one that's kind of interesting too is, and this I think is just a problem that they did. I don't think it has anything to do with the story of the game. Is that the way that the portals are set up, the little jellyfish or what is it called, the planet on the sunset is what everybody calls it. Where it's sitting, it looks like it's the planet in the water.
Yeah.
It's the first glyph. So the first glyph is not counted as 1, it's counted as 0 in the glyph system. So it's really weird because in the storyline it's counted as 1 because there's 16 glyphs, right? So that's the first glyph. That's considered the first glyph. But when you're doing the portal code, it's a 0. But 0 and 1 in the portal code is the same thing, but 1 is the bird. So you will get a portal address that will have a jelly at the beginning or a bird at the beginning, and you'll end up in the same place because that's 1.
That's what's been
You
happening
won't
to
end up
Hidden.
any place else. So,
I like to say the
'cause
same thing, Panda. It sounds like it's like we're getting some answers to something that we've been needing.
Yeah.
To figure
So
out.
so there's so because we're part of the No Man's Sky Amino, there's a consortium where you can there's farming bases that you can visit and get materials to sell. And Hidden tried to go to one of those planets, and he typed in the correct portal address, but it kept taking him to another planet in that system, but not that planet. And it didn't matter how he manipulated any of the digits.
Right.
Straight back to that same place.
It would bring him back straight to the same place, but never the planet he was intending to go. Is there
That's interesting.
a way to?
Okay, so when you did that, did you put in how many planets are in the system? Do you know?
I want to say 4.
Okay,
I
so
wanna-
you used 1, 2, 3, and 4 symbols in the beginning
Yeah,
You
the
know what I
only one
mean?
I tried to,
instead of the
but
one
only
that they gave you.
Right. I changed just the first glyph of the code. I
Right.
would manipulate that one, but leave everything else the same. Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm asking you. So you tried those. You went from 1 to 4 or 0 to 4, right?
Mhm.
Actually, it would be 0 to 3. 4 wouldn't work. I mean, the 4th glyph won't work
Right,
because first glyph
right.
is 0. So it would only be 0, 1, 2, 3 is that you could use. Did
No,
you try a
I did
moon?
all of no.
So what might be is that it's a moon portal. The person might have the portal on the moon. It also, the other thing that happens is when a person who plays the game, like say, okay, so this person is floating around and they do a base, they build a farm, and they go look for the portal, and they have the portal. The portal doesn't exist for anybody else. It only exists for them. It's kind of a weird thing because that's where that generating thing comes in. So sometimes you'll get portal addresses that won't work because the portal doesn't actually exist for you.
That's weird.
I don't know why. I haven't figured out why that is in the because I get it all the time. People send me portal things and I'll go into them and I'll end up on the same planet. It just happened recently. Who was I looking for? Maybe it was Sakota. And so he wanted to meet up. Somebody wanted to meet up. So they gave me their address and I end up on this planet. I'm like, I don't see your planet. And he's like, this is the name of it. I said, no, this isn't the planet. So I went back out. I did like you're supposed to change the digits to get the planet. Nothing. Hit the moon one. Got there, but couldn't get out. Got stuck. And then, so what I did instead is, here's what I would suggest to you. I would go to that planet, pull a base through, pull your ship through, and then fly where you need to go. Because you're probably, unless you try the moon one first and see if it pops you in the moon portal. Because it might just be a moon portal, and that's the issue, is why it's not coming in. And even if it is the moon, you may not be able to still get there because the moon won't be registered as an actual portal. And that's the problem here, is they've given us these portals, and some of them don't even acknowledge that they're portals. Before the last update, I was doing portals where I was in Gex systems with one planet, and the portal would disappear from me. I'd be stuck on the planet. I'd have to reload.
Oh,
I'd be
wow.
like, you could hear it. It was going. It's telling you it was there, but it wasn't. Nothing was. I turned around and there's no portal. The first time it did, I was like, what the hell? And I went roaming all over that planet looking for the portal to get back, and I had to just reload. And then I just put that down as a dead planet. But I went back after they updated at 3.8, and the portal isn't even there now. So I just think they put portals in. They didn't put a programming system in for the portals because the portals were for the future. I don't think they were for the ARG. I mean, they gave you the ability to portal through and do stuff, and they were part of the story. But I don't think they were really meant for anything but the story. You know what I mean? Like, you're not really supposed to be traveling around in the portals. I think you're supposed to be, doing something else. And so,
Kitty, stop it, Kitty. Sorry.
But I am curious about those, the big ship ones. I've had people argue with me, and they say they're terraforming. I don't think they're terraforming machines, because when you listen to the lore, they talk about things being sent through them. So I don't think they're terraforming. Maybe they could have used them as terraforming at one time. You know which ones I'm talking about? The ones on the exotic, the big round ones?
Yes.
Yeah, the huge ones? I think they're ship portals. And
That's what I think too.
That with this new upgrade, we're going to be able to get through with our ships. But I think that's how the little rat bastards got to all the planets and destroyed those. So every one of those planets that they're on, I think, was a home world planet. Like, was the first planet of the system.
I thought that before myself.
For the Gek, or for the Viking, or for what, because the planet's completely destroyed, and it says the planet's destroyed. It's a desolated planet. There's nothing on it except the big giant round machines, and they have a little lore story that goes with it, and they're all M planets, which would be the best planets in the world to be colonizing. Those are the planets you'd want to be on, and so I find that very interesting. I find the whole story lore of the aliens interesting, because there's a lot of things that don't add up to the actual, even in the simulation, to really say that they're real. Like they're real aliens, like they're made up aliens. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just for the simulation, like they have lore and it talks about from other galaxies and it talks about all this, but it really doesn't. You don't get that feel when you're reading the lore. It's like reading a story about something else, and nothing there's not real. The ruins don't really connect to the story that well. Yeah, I'm hoping that'll change too. Yet is the thing. I always was hoping that there's Dawson. Hi, Dawson. I was always hoping that we'd go back in time with the next
TSS 958 Gaming says, hi, Panda. What's going on, bro? Thanks for jumping in the chat. Love your channel, by the way.
Dawson.
Great streams.
Dawson always comes to my chat.
Dawson's
chat too.
in there as well. And Matthew Gooding says, has there been anything on the next update? I haven't been keeping up much with this ARG. There's not been much to keep up with right now. We've kind of been having sort of an in and out extended conversation about that, but there's really nothing to follow right now. I think they're waiting on all the Atlas passes to get distributed in a couple of things. So it's like we had a little bit of an ARG, and that was just to unlock the shipping of the Atlas passes. And then now, as we're waiting for people to receive them, we're sort of in limbo. Nothing's really happening. And then once the people that need to get them, and certain things get disseminated where they need to go, then the ARG is going to kick off. Also, the only clue that I've seen that sort of makes any sense to me about the ARG is the hashtag what is 1.5. Well, obviously it wasn't January 5th, so it could be May 1st, or it could be 1.5 years since the release of No Man's Sky, which would be this month a few days from now. So, there's so much speculation out there. No one really knows anything. That's kind of what I'm clinging to. You guys know we tinfoil hard and shit over here, but yeah, there's no real news right now.
I had seen this one on the Game Detectives that they told the person not to spend time on, but it was really an interesting concept about how they were using the fractions and everything, and so that's how they came up with a new date for the update, because it was 1.5 actually equals out to 3.4, like March 4th, I think is what they decided. Some people decided, and I was like, well, that's interesting, because they were using it was what was 1/5, and if you did this and you did that and came out with 3/4, I was like, I don't know that I see that, but okay, it's interesting concept. I mean, a lot of people want to be able to prophesize ahead of time and be the one that, said, oh yeah, I figured this out without you guys. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it, but it would be so much better if if the ARG, if Allison Smith would just give out clues ahead of time. Even if it was little clues. To me, that's what I told them that I wanted to see when I did the survey.
There's always a chance there could be clues out there right now, somewhere in the universe of No Man's Sky.
They already said that there was puzzles nobody solved, and they already said that there was puzzles they gave ahead of time for us to be kind of working on and doing stuff, and nobody ever solved them. They kind of passed them over because they were really, really tough.
They were too damn good.
Johnny B says, "Good night, everyone. Thanks for the fun. You are welcome. That is why we do this, kind sir."
Yep. Good night,
So,
Johnny.
We love you.
have a good night.
Good night.
You too. Have a sleep well. Don't let the chickens bite your toes.
Matthew Gooding
your
says,
toes.
"All right, thanks. Fingers crossed for the next few weeks. That would be awesome." Yeah, to be honest, dude, I'm for most of us that have been playing No Man's Sky from the very first release day, if there's anything that we all have in common, it's patience. For me, the longer that I have to wait for the update, the longer that it takes for the update to come out, the more validation that I'm getting, sort of indirectly, that the update's going to be a big update. I feel like they've probably put more work and effort into this update than all the other previous ones. Like I feel like this is going to be a big update.
I kind of feel like they've been working on all of these updates together as one update, and just to test it and make sure it's all stable, they're releasing piece of it at a time until they eventually unleash the whole thing that totally flip-flops the game into something totally new, even compared to what new stuff we've saw so far. They're just making sure everything is stable, updating it slightly to keep it running, and then they're going to throw it out there and blow everybody's mind.
Well, a lot of people are saying that the Phoenix on the Atlas passes is representative of, because legend has that the Phoenix, is birthed from its own ashes. So they're saying that the game is going to receive a major reset, a redesign, an overhaul, a 2.0, so to speak. So.
Well, now a lot of people are worried about that because they don't want to reset, because the last reset was not.
Well,
I lost my home planet. That was so bad.
We all did, and I did too. But here's the thing: how much fun was it to go out and find that planet for the first time, call it yours, and then start building? When they reset it, like, you have that ability to leave that planet now and go find you a better system, a better planet, just because they destroyed your one planet that you have now. Like, I get it sucks, but there's 18 quintillion out there to go look at.
Well, see, it didn't bother me. I wasn't bothered because I don't have a base that I'm overly attached to. I just kind of move through the universe and make bases here and there, and I have my freighter because I do creative.
My freighter's my baby.
And then I had to do the base for the storyline, and I was like, and I didn't care about that one either. It was really weird. I made a big giant spiral of it.
See, I do care about bases, but I don't care if they reset the game, because they're resetting it not to be assholes, but to change it and to give the game a better
Make it better, yeah.
And what I think they're doing is that they're trying to get to that trailer look, like, of what they showed us a long time ago. So if
I swear to God,
if it requires the game to restart to get that trailer look, please, by all means, restart the shit out of this thing, because that's what I want.
Hey, I will shit myself if I ever land on a planet that has trees that are twice as tall as they are now, dinosaurs that are 3 times as tall as they are now. And I can only imagine if one day I walked over a hillside, the screen started rumbling, and in one of the giant caverns and canyons that goes by in between the mountains, a worm just flows right through it. I'm just going to sit there and look at it and be like, Sean Murray, I'm going to touch your beard.
Good night, Matthew.
Well, see,
Gooding.
for me,
He says it's 140 where he's at, so that's definitely pretty late. So catch you next time. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good night, bud.
Thank you, Matthew. Yep.
It is. It's 1:45 where
Bye,
I'm at, but
Matthew.
I'm happy. Bye, Matt. Love you, brother.
Yeah, it was never an issue for me for them resetting. I understand and everything. The only things that people always ask, because it's never what I want. It's the things I wouldn't want to see. Right? You know how people are like all the things they want to see. For me in No Man's Sky, it's the things I wouldn't want to see. I don't want to see No Man's Sky become a game that has all the other games in it. So what would be the point of me then playing?
Yeah.
Because
Good
I have
point.
games
Good
that I play
point.
for different reasons. So the things that I love about No Man's Sky is the uniqueness of it. So one of the uniqueness is the fact that you couldn't do multiplayer in a traditional sense. It didn't mean you couldn't do it once they gave you the ability, to meet. Once they fixed that little thing, But even then, it was a lonely game, and it was part of that was part of the lure of it, because it made it feel so real of how it would feel to wake up on a planet, not remember anything, have amnesia, and then know that you were somehow supposed to fix the planet. You fix the planet, you get out of space, and you have no clue where to go. You have no past, you have no future, and you kind of have to muddle that out. And that was like the lure of the game for me, because it was this huge mystery of, how the hell did you get here? Then there was no help. You couldn't get help. It wasn't like you walk into a station and say, "Oh, I'm lost. Can you show me where I'm supposed to go?" It was almost like you didn't exist. They could care less, really. They gave you your stuff and get out the door. You embarrass us, kind of thing. And so that was I really enjoyed that. That's why I played it, when I first played it. And then when I came back to it, it was all brand new, because I hadn't had the game. I didn't have a PS4. I didn't, I was only by watching Cobra or watching streams and stuff. And most of the people that I had watched who played it hated it, so they didn't play it no more. So it was hard to, find. I just thought it disappeared. I thought, well, that's the game and it's done. Like just other games, you just don't play them anymore and they're gone. But then when I played it, and it had the little vehicles, which I was all like, damn, I could have really used those. a long time ago. But and and the freighters and all this other stuff, and kind of more of a reason, and that you were like, it never bothered me you couldn't see yourself, and it never bothered me that when they did finally let you kind of have a body, it was a little round orb. I love the whole idea of being a little round orb, because it gives more mystery to the whole thing about, again, who exactly are the travelers. How are they connected to humans, and if they are even connected to humans? And, why the simulation? We kind of get a clue why now, what the simulation is, but we still don't really have a reason for us to be in the simulation. We just know we are in the simulation. So I always, when people say, what do you want in No Man's Sky? I'm fine with how No Man's Sky is. I can go along and wait to see what his vision of it is. But I don't really want a multiplayer in it. I have other games for that. I don't really want. I don't mind meeting people and making little monuments. Trading might be fun, like you could trade with other people. But that changes that whole storyline of you being a simulation if you're connecting with your simulations.
Well, not really.
They'll have to build that storyline a little differently, I think.
I think that multiplayer is an important aspect to the game. I don't think that PvP is an important aspect to the game. So I don't need that either. So I don't think that the people that have been playing No Man's Sky for a while want to be griefed and have to deal with people shooting them down and friendly fire and all that kind of crap. I
don't mind that.
Me either.
Some people don't, but most people would have a problem with that, because it's more of a friendly community. And I don't mind any kind of co-op. Like, I would love to explore with other people. I would love to meet up with friends, stuff like that. Like that would be cool,
I kind of do that already, so.
I can only imagine being like, hey man, I can't find any of the zinc. If you found any zinc over on the other side of the hill, I don't know, I'm looking. I found a flower. Come over here. There's a whole bunch of zinc. And then you run over the hill, and there's your friend. You and him doing your thing.
Me and Hidden, we were playing together the other day, and we were having a similar conversation, and neither one of us really mind the orbs. We don't have a big problem being orbs when you're exploring on the planet, because it doesn't really change how the game is being played. But where it could
is not seeing their ship and not seeing them fly. Like, if I could be an orb but see your ship, I don't mind not having a player model. But like, I want a player model, but I also want to see other people's ships flying around in front of me, more or less. Than
that one is one that I kind of would be fun. If they did that, I'd be fine with it. It wouldn't bother, if they don't, that, I don't know why that one wasn't included to begin with. I mean, if you're going to include that you can see another person's orb, I think you could kind of include the ship.
And that might be coming next.
Can you see the orb? If they're flying, can you see the orb flying through space?
You see. Well, sometimes if you're in that same thing, what you really see is I see. No, when I played, I see a little ship sign.
Well, if you get close enough, so check this out. So Panda tells me there's coordinates to go to the original galactic hub, which is where I wanted to go back and visit, which is where I'm currently at. Well, I get the coordinates, I come through, I build my car, I realize that the habitable base is what he wanted me to do was come through the portal, go claim a habitable base, and I should be able to get my ship back. That's what we were both thinking. So I come out of the portal, and 2 hours away is the closest habitable base. So what do? I truck 2 hours from a portal all the way to this habitable base. Meanwhile, Panda is up on the atmosphere watching me and showing me how far of a distance I have to travel, which is pretty cool because we actually have pictures of it. So if you guys are interested in that,
Oh wow!
we could show them. But so 2 hours goes by. I was like 5 minutes out from in the base, and I looked up and I could see Panda's ship icon above me. But if he got low enough, I could still see that orb as if he was sitting in his cockpit. So yes,
wow.
I can confirm.
Wow,
that
see, I've never seen that. That's interesting. And I King Snake and then Saruko and a couple other people. I've done a lot of exploring with other people. You know, like well, King Snake, we used to play hide and seek. We turn the hubs off and play hide and seek. That's really fun without your hubs. Especially if we'd use a base like style place like a trading post or something. So we had a base for that, because otherwise, you know, you get lost and that'd be the end of it. And if you got lost, you just turn your hub back on to find out where your ship was at. We played that. We did like, but when he was in his ship, all I see is the ship. It's just
how
a little
long
ship
ago was
sign.
that?
Probably about 3 weeks ago. So was the last time I played with him, and Sirocco probably 2 weeks.
This was just a couple of days ago, and
so that's another one of that's another one of those little things I was talking about. You know how there's these little tweaks that seem to be happening, and when you talk to other people, they're like, "Oh yeah, but they don't notice the tweaks." I only notice tweaks because I notice patterns. So when I see a pattern of something, I'm like, and that's because of my job. The job that I had for 20 years was to notice patterns and the slightest amount of micro expressions, things like that normal people don't watch. So and they're very small things. I mean, they're not. Some of it's colors. Like I'd never seen feather trees. Like the leaves are actual like little feathers, and then they have very pastel colors. That was the first time I've seen a lot of lush planets. But that's the first time I've seen that actual pattern of colors. And then I saw it again on another planet in another M system, but the leaves were leaves. The same pattern of color, but different, you know, leaf patterns. But it was like, that's
I haven't seen a whole lot of I'm starting to realize that every lush planet is going to be green and blue with the same kind of trees. Like the lush planets used to look a lot different. They used to be a lot different.
Yeah, but see, I know what you're talking about, but I've been seeing lush planets that are slightly different. And it's hard to tell the slightly different unless you had two pictures right next to each other, but some colors are very much like, oh, they were never here before. Where did this color come from? And it's enough if I notice it, then obviously there's something going on, because normally your human brain just ignores something and it'll just say, oh yeah, and move on, because it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, the grass, the flowers.
Reason I'm noticing it.
Like the grass and the flowers, that's the biggest little detail that a lot of people seem to overlook, and I love that. I love the different types and shades of grass, the color changes compared when the wind's blowing and when it's not, the little flowers that bloom amongst the grass. Like, you just walk over that and won't even pay attention to it for the most part. But if you really look down at it, there's a lot of detail put into that stuff that people just overlook. You know, you're just walking over it. Never pay attention.
Right. I'm just saying that I probably, because I'm an artist too, because I do animation, so I see things that, like color combinations that they weren't. Like you said, you go to a lush planet and usually you got that. It's either blue,
it's like green,
or
it's like green and blue together
bright,
for me.
Yeah, or a really bright, vibrant green. You know, like really greeny grass. Or the water's always usually the same color. You know, it's the underneath that's different. Which I think if you were to change something, it would be the color of the water would change from system to system, because of the different class of light you have, because everything else does. I mean, your ship changes color when you go from one system to, like, you go one system to another system depending on the system, and then you go to space station, your ship changes color, and that's because of light.
Never had that.
You know,
never had that.
You never had that?
I have.
Nope.
Oh yes.
My ship's been
different
yellow for quite some time.
The different
It's
types
yellow
of
in the
light
space
can
station,
change
and then
your.
it's yellow on
It's
the
been
planet.
yellow as long as I've had it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Never
Because the
seen
one
it
I
change
do is
colors.
like the white ones. You pick the white ship up, and then when you take it into the space station, it turns purple. Or you go down to a different planet, like a lush planet, and
right,
it
yeah.
becomes.
That's because different space
Right.
stations. Like I've seen them have different colors in them, like purple, and I've seen one with like
Yeah.
blue and some are white.
Right. And it's because the idea is because the light changes, right? But you're saying that in your case, your ship has never changed. So either
Well,
because
if
you
it
have the
happens
ship
to
forever.
No, actually, this is a brand new ship, like a couple days old. But
I don't know why that is.
No, I've seen it.
I've never had a white ship before, so that might.
I've been in systems that have a different type of light, and so your ship looks slightly different. Like my freighter, for example, is green and pink, but like in certain systems, it like looks almost black. So like it just.
Okay. That's the only thing I've seen change. My freighter has changed before.
Well, yeah, speaking of color changes, I found V2 and V3 rooms on planet side at different types of facilities, and depending on which corner of, or like which point in, you know how the rooms are built in like that geometrical, like kind of like a pentagon or something, you know? If you're standing, depending on where you're standing in the room, the color in the room itself will change. Like you'll slowly watch it change from like green to blue to red. And I can't figure out why it does that. And I always thought that maybe there was some type of trigger or portal there. And I used to talk about it with a group so long back, a fellow named Ron Schofield that was involved with the No Man's Sky community, saying he claimed that there was triggers and stuff just based off of the planners and numbers. It was all numbers where everything in the game is like geometrical. And I've noticed that in some of these places you could scan, and when you scan, your scanner would pick up an object. Like you would see an object on your screen when you scanned in one of these V2, V3 rooms, but it wouldn't be there. There's nothing there. But when you scan, you would clearly see this object pop up in your scan. And I've screenshotted it. I've filmed it. I took screenshots of it. I've sent the screenshots off saying, what is this? My scanner's picking up. Can't figure it out. It looks like some type of mechanical device or something, and no clue what it is. It's not there. I'll find those screenshots and I'll send them to you.
Well, it's interesting to me that they put like little things in the programming to see if people notice the programming, or they're setting things up for future.
They could be setting things up. I mean, like Grandmie, did you watch the GDC presentation that they did? Okay, so Sean Murray did a GDC presentation in 2017 talking about like how they were continuing to do like terrain generation, and then obviously like in 1.2 and 1.3 we saw big differences in terrain generation. Well, Ines McKenna, who's one of the programmers at Hello Games, she was talking about how before, when they were building No Man's Sky, they didn't have the budget, they didn't have the money, and then the processing power and all that stuff to do like.
Hey guys, I have to step out of this party. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm very, very sorry. I gotta step out of this party real quick. I will be right back though.
Oh no, you're fine.
Okay.
But basically, she said that like the water is a texture in No Man's Sky because that's how they had to do it at the time, and that they're working on dynamic water. And she said that at the GDC conference. So and we haven't seen dynamic water yet because water still is a texture. It's just almost like an overlay. So I think that in the next update we're going to see dynamic water. Like I think we're going to see actual flowing water. And it was something
that was something I talked about in my last stream. Is that if you look at water, it's really no difference than being outside the water or in the water. The only time you see is the illusion that they put on your screen, like on your helmet. So when the water's running. Helmet, right, and it runs down. That's the only time you see any difference between being in the water and being out of the water.
And they slow you down as well.
Yeah, it works well enough that it's okay for it, but it's still not. It's not really water. I mean, it's not water. That was always the thing. Now it was a little more real for me when I played it the first time around. So I think they've changed some of the water textures things when they were changing stuff, because you got a different sense in the water. But I think it's just because you didn't get those weird little particles you get. Remember, have you ever think about sitting at the water? You sit at the water and you see these things that are floating in the water, and sometimes I always think there's fish far off, and then I try to scan them, and they're not. They're just the particles in the water. That's
Right.
what I think they put in to give you the illusion that there's movement in the water.
Yep.
But, you know, for me, you could nitpick things for days. I mean, the programming is absolutely wonderful. The artwork is absolutely wonderful. Is it need for improvement? Well, of course, because we're humans and we always want improvement. But I heard somebody else on one of their things, I can't remember who it was, and you said something about it, Panda, about, is it Panda that's still with me, or is it Hidden Jew?
It was Hidden that left. Panda's
Panda.
still here. Yeah, I'm still here.
Left. Okay, I just make sure, because sometimes I can't see my screen, so I don't know who's saying what. But you know, they said that they think this is going to be the last update, and you kind of hit on that too. You know, the idea that this might be the last update for No Man's Sky, and then there was a discussion as well. What would they be doing after that then? You know, what comes next? Are they
Patches.
going to make No Man's Sky 2?
Probably
Are they
not.
going to have DLC? Are they going to move into, like you said, use their engine that they have created, this awesome engine, and do something different? I mean, my question is, what would they do? Because Sean Murray seems very connected into space. Is he thinking about another space game? Is he wanting a...
Well,
I mean...
the possibilities of what they've done with procedural generation is endless, right? Like what the fuck was No Man's Sky doing, or what was Hello Games doing before No Man's Sky came out? They were making a cell phone game called Joe Danger, right? And then all of a sudden this bearded man decides, I'm going to make 18 quintillion planets, right? And then he does it. So there's no telling like what his next thing is. I mean, you know, like he could come up with another adventure that's like Subnautica or something totally different. You know, I mean, it's I don't know.
I know they were just talking about it, and I was thinking about it myself. I was thinking, what would I like to see that would be a big world, right? What would we like to see?
What's up, Trigger Happy?
A big world that can use that engine that they have. You know, what kind of game out there haven't we seen, or what kind of game, an older game maybe that we'd like to see, an older style. You know, like I was thinking like another. Kind of like a Final Fantasy concept, you know, like a fantasy game where you had this huge open world and you could go from, you know, one kingdom to the next kingdom, or no kingdom, you know, like something like that, or like Game of Thrones, you know, like a whole world of Game of Thrones where you could explore the whole world and play it underneath and above.
Yeah.
You know, so you could put dragons in it, you could do...
I would love that, like a fantasy procedural generation game.
Yeah.
It would be crazy.
People, it probably will never happen because I've always wanted to see a movie too with them, is Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Rider series, because it's a space story as well as a fantasy story. So I don't know, are any of you familiar with it? Do you know who Anne McCaffrey is? Do you know the Dragon Rider
I've heard
world?
the name. I've heard the name,
so
but yeah.
What it was is that she wrote a book in the 70s, and it was this... You didn't know it was a planet. You didn't really know. You thought it was just a fantasy world in which they have these dragons that fly in the sky and burn off this deadly stuff that drops off this star. And they're like pre-tech. Like, the whole planet's pre-tech. So that it's kind of... The dragons are pretty much their, you know, thing against the world. As the stories, you know, as she pulls the stories out, you know, you go forward in future and you go in the past. Well, the past, you find out that they came from Earth, right? There was no dragons, not big dragons. There were these little dragons on this planet that they showed up on. Perfect planet. They'd spend a very long time to get there, and there was no going back. Like, you couldn't go back, but they had one ship they could take back if they had to. And then there's a big thing that goes on the planet, and they fight, and they blow up. One section blows up so they can't go back, right? So they developed genetically these huge dragons to help them with this thing that's coming down, and then they hide all their tech so that their descendants will never know. I think that the storylines and the way she has it in the future, she's made it so that you can still write a whole lot of future on it. That you could do something as a game if you had the ability to have such a big open world.
Welcome back.
Hey, thank
It
you.
would be so much fun.
So sorry to just barge in there. And is there any way we could bring on another guest to the show?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Send Randall.
More merrier.
I don't have the. Actually, wait. I have an invite thing up here.
Oh, by the way, so Rick McPherson's in the chat. Says,
Nice.
hey Panda, hey Hidden, and hey Grandmie. So what's going on, Rick? Thanks for stopping by. For those of you that don't know, this is Empty Benches. I don't know if you know him by his PlayStation name, but legendary guy. So what's going on, bud?
Greetings.
And, Hidden, I'll
He's
go ahead
the one
and
that
send.
gave me the whole idea
Okay, perfect.
system. It was him. It's all his fault. That's why I'm out there roaming.
Rick's been on the channel
outer
for
rims.
quite some time now.
Yes. He's right up there with Gaming Line.
Name.
We got Almond in here.
Welcome.
What's going on, man?
Hello.
Not much, man. You know, just, man, I told Aaron, man. You know, I haven't played this game since like launch, pretty much. I only had 15 hours on it yesterday whenever I got on it, and dude, like this game is like, so much better now, dude. Like I'm actually like loving this shit. It's so sweet.
Can I
Yeah,
ask you a question, Almond?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
So, you played it when it first came out, right?
Oh yeah, it's so terrible. Like that's just.
And
like,
then, well, what was it that you didn't like? I'm just curious. And then, how did it change that make you like it?
We're all curious. Okay. No, like it was. Man, like when it first came out, it was just. I don't know, like the whole like.
You could be honest, bro. You could be honest.
Be honest, because I love it. I love knowing how people live.
No, I'm totally okay. I'm totally totally honest. Like I don't know, like I'm a huge multiplayer person, so like the fact that like I couldn't see anybody else or I couldn't link up with somebody was like a huge thing. So I was kind of like, you know, okay. So, but I wanted to give it a shot, you know, and so I started playing it, and I was like, you know, this is all right. I love like the exploration, dude. Like there's just so many different places to go, of course, and but no, I just live like the base building and stuff now. Like man, it's just so sick. Like I'm about to like build a base for like the first time right now. Like that's what I'm doing right now. So, but I'm only doing it so I can get these stupid freaking gloves so I can harvest fungal mold.
Yeah. I know that whole thing. No.
Oh, the hazmat gloves.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, cause I found this the warp drive, the KU or cow, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, Tao, yeah.
Yeah, I found that, and I was like, oh man, that's gonna get me from a sucky 100 light years to like, it should put me up to what, 300, I think, right? Yeah, 300 light years. I was like, yeah.
Something like that.
I'm trying to drive a dragon right now.
I don't even know what.
But see, that is 100% proof that Hello Games is turning the game around, and they are bringing people back that were there at launch, that have left, that are coming back now because either a multiplayer is being incorporated.
Oh, for sure.
Just,
how many times,
Aaron?
How many times have I like seen you playing this? I'm like, oh god, turn that trash off. And then now, like you called me earlier, dude. It was like, yeah, so you can play No Man's Sky. I'm like, thinking about it all day. What the hell you think? Like, yeah, of course. I've been at work today, like, I'm on 11. Like, I'm ready to go home and mine some rocks and shit.
That's really interesting, right? Because when the game came out, people that were excited about it, they got turned away because it didn't have multiplayer and things that they were expecting. And then people continued to play it. Well, with all these updates, it's not really driven anyone away from the game. So the people that have been playing are still playing, but now we have people coming back and we have new players. The game is growing a year and a half after release.
I know quite a few people who have not liked the updates who have quit playing.
But how does that compare to who's coming in?
No, I was just saying because you're saying that there's a lot of people who are still playing, but there are a lot of people that are hardcore fans that quit because of the way they didn't like the way the update went, which is their prerogative, you know. And Was it that they didn't like the way that the update went, or was it that
they didn't like that their base got fucked up.
No, they didn't like the way these are the. I've got some of those too, but these are people who started out playing it from the very beginning. Their channel was mostly dedicated to No Man's Sky. That's what they, they play a couple of other games, but they were a huge No Man's Sky. Foundation came, they lost a couple there, but not a whole lot. But this last one, a lot of people just feel, some of the hardcore guys just feel it got too easy. For other people, not so. But I'm just saying that when we're talking about, being open and objective, there are people that were not happy with the way it's done. But there's always going to be people that are not happy with it.
Yeah, you're going to have that on both things.
But I disagree with that premise because, yeah, the game has gotten easier, but that's a fucking choice. Like, you can still warp the old-fashioned way if you want to.
Yeah.
Or you could use a portal. There's nothing stopping you from playing the game how you used to play. So you just have these new options now.
I think it's more of the. I think it's more of the way the game moves. So like some people don't like the combat anymore. Some people don't like the way that it generates. Some people don't. Yeah. And that's just, those are the same people that may not like Assassin's Creed for that same reason, even though they played it. They'd buy it, they'll play it, but they wouldn't play it. They wouldn't. If you ask them, it's not a replay ability for them. Same thing with people that didn't like Fallout 4 because it stepped away from what was in their mind's eye what Fallout was. I mean, you're always going to have those fans who say they're fans, but then when it comes down to it, and that's just how life is. There's just people who will say, I'm a diehard so-and-so fan, and in the moment it goes against them, their particular whatever it is, that's when they have a problem. They don't have a problem when everybody else is complaining about it. They don't have, it'll only be when it affects how they play or what they like or, what they eat or whatever.
Of course.
I mean, that's just people. But the only reason I was bringing it up was because you made the statement, that everyone was still playing it. No, there are some people that aren't playing it. But
that's a good point.
Here's the thing about them, though. Most of them that I talk to do not downsize. They don't insult you for playing it. They're like, oh, it's not for me anymore, and they get mad when trolls will come onto my chat and they'll say, oh, why are you playing this game? And they'll be like, dude, if you don't know and you don't want to play it, just leave. Even though they're not playing it anymore and they're not particularly like it, they won't let people badmouth it because they know it's a personal choice.
I deal with that all the time, especially at work. Like, there was these people talking about PlayStation, so of course I come in, I'm like, yo, has anyone played No Man's Sky? And they're like, oh, that game's shit, get the fuck out of here. It's like I got stoned to death for like talking about No Man's Sky.
That happens to me a lot at work.
Good God, it's ridiculous. But then I asked them, I'm like, well, have you seen any of the updates? You're like, no. And I'm like, so you haven't seen it? All you saw was like what? They're like, oh, I only played 2 hours of it. And I'm like, oh, well, there's your fucking problem.
The person who gave me the game when it first came out, he got bored with it. He just got bored with it, and he's like, you should play it though, because you like sci-fi. He wasn't really into that kind of sci-fi. He was into. He was more like Star Wars, or Star Trek, or more like, like you had a huge federation, you have a huge alliance, you have all this that you can back up on. You're kind of being plopped into a story, and you're part of the story. In No Man's Sky, you create the story.
Right. If you don't mind me saying, for the people, I think it's foolish for you to judge off of the third update that's came out to leave the game, because first off, the game is still not done. They're still working on it. So how can you walk away from something when they're like halfway done with something? Like, it's like you still haven't seen the full product yet, and you're walking away from it.
I think because what they don't like about it probably is not going to get fixed. It's probably going to keep generating in that direction.
If it's
the combat, if it's the way the combat's being going, it's probably not going to change back to the way it was. It's probably going to morph into something else.
For my opinion and my taste, I think the combat's shit right now. I'm tired of shooting a floating sentinel, and I'm tired of not having like gun-to-gun combat on ground. Like the combat right now is absolute shit. Like, let's just be honest here. But
I like the combat.
Well, I mean, but that's just, that's everyone's opinions. For my taste, I want more ground-to-ground, like ground combat with like other like NPCs that are holding guns and I've got to take cover. That's the more combat. I'm sick of shooting a fucking sentinel. Like, I've shot 1,000 something of them. I'm done with it. I want something else.
Right, and see, then there's other people that, like me, I could care less. You know, I don't really fight them. I don't fight pirates, but I've seen people, I've watched people play pirates,
Now,
and
pirates,
like those
I love
stupid
shooting pirates, so
rockets
that's
you
fun.
have. So the rockets you have where they go, and I've seen it and it's done it to me, where they just go right through the freaking ship, and then you're like, heck, as they're killing you. I'm like, if that shot had made it, I wouldn't be dead.
My issue.
I just roll with it, you know. That's how I am. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna fight you.
My issue with the combat is like the enemies got way better than you, but your ships didn't get better. So like, if anything,
Yeah,
they got harder to fly. Like your haulers suck, and like this hauler, for example, I have more weapons upgrades on this one than a lot of my other ships, in terms of like my phase beam and stuff. So this is my best ship from a combat perspective. But after the update, it maneuvers like crap, and it's clunky. And the enemies that I'm fighting are a lot better than me, and I can't do anything to this ship, like, to make it better. But so combat to me is like, I like it, but then at the same time, like, there's certainly issues with it. What I don't like though is when people talk about how they would change the game, make No Man's Sky better, they just end up describing Elite Dangerous. It's like, just go play that fucking game.
That's one of my problems too. I'm like, I'm not really into that. I don't play Elite Dangerous. I have a lot of people that want me to. You know, they're like, oh, you should. I would never be able to do it. And I tell people, I can't do simulations. I'm not very good with the up, down, and the controls and the fast. I have enough problems trying to fly my ship in No Man's Sky. If anybody's watched me when I do that's why I do creative, because I can bounce off things and spin around. I think that's fun. It's like a roller coaster. But it's not going to destroy me or my ship. And when I play normal, I've crashed my ship. I died from crashing my ship. When I played it first at launch, I crashed my ship quite a few times.
Yep.
And ran into things, and you know, you're dead because you did this. And
Rick McPherson says grinders grind because they love the time it takes, no cuts. I think that's kind of what you were talking about with some of those players that left Grandmie, where they like the grind of it. Now with all these adaptations, it's not as hard.
Right, and I think it's the combat too. A lot of people have complained about that. Yeah,
those things are needed though.
Right. But that's why they left the game, because it is needed, and it's not the game
they should have just turned off the internet and back to the vanilla version and kept playing that version.
As long as the people that are coming in exceed the number of people that are going out, then it's a positive thing for No Man's Sky. As long as more players are coming, and they keep the original spirit of the game. Rick, I don't know if you agree with me or not, if you're still watching, but do you feel that like these updates have ruined the original sort of intention that the game had, or the feeling the game was supposed to evoke? Because I don't feel that it has. Like, dude, I'm gonna pull up my stats. Fucking Hidden laughed at me when I brought these up before. But I don't
think it's changed it. I think I don't think it ruined it. I do definitely think it changed the feel of it.
It changed it, but like I still have that sense of exploration that I had at the beginning of the game. But look at this.
Oh, yes.
I've warped 107 times only in No Man's Sky, because I spend most of my time exploring planets very deeply within any system I'm in. So I've only warped 107 times. So even though I have these ways of being able to go places easier, or warp here, or portal there, or whatever, I don't. I just like exploring planets, so that's what I do. The updates haven't affected the way that I play the game.
I think too, you know, the reason is for that is because the love of the game that you have is what is the best in the game at this time. For other people, I think that the things they love probably got lost in translation. I just think they got left behind. And so they're like, well, I can play it in vanilla, but I've already played it in vanilla, so what's the point for me? And I get it. I just say, okay, you know, it's fine. And they don't argue. I'm telling you, those people who left for those reasons, they don't argue, because it's really just about technique. It's not really about the game itself. It's not because of No Man's Sky. It's just the way the programming and technique and the story has gone. Because if you look at first launch, there really wasn't any story. There really wasn't any. You fixed your ship, you went out, you explored, and you tried to get to the center for some unknown reason. I didn't even know you were supposed to go to the center. Somebody messaged me and said, oh, you're supposed to go to the center. Okay.
I feel like on day one, the whole goal of the game was to fix your ship. After you fixed your ship, game was complete. Now it's just the rest of it is just running around in this huge sandbox.
Well, see, that's what I thought too. And then somebody messaged me and said, "Hey,
yeah, once you fix your ship, every now and again you'd come across like a glyph or something that gave you some like lore, but it was never really important to the progression of the game.
It's something.
See, and that's it was just added information for you personally, as a person. See, it wasn't any need for it.
Part of why I feel Randall left a long time ago was because whenever he first was into No Man's Sky, he kept talking about the center. He wanted to know what was at the center of the galaxy. Once he found out that there wasn't shit there, that's when I felt like he lost a lot of interest in the game. He was like, well, fuck that. Like, and he didn't really take the time to appreciate the exploration. Now, I could be completely wrong, Randall, but that's from what I see and remember.
I honestly feel like it could have been like a little better, like instead of like, oh hey, well here's another galaxy, it's just kind of like, oh well, I'm already in one that I'll never be able to explore all of it my whole lifetime. You know, something a little different or something, you know.
No, I agree with that.
I had the same exact feeling.
And Sean Murray hyped it. He hyped up the center like there was some big secret.
Yes.
I haven't gone there.
You guys,
I haven't been there either. Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, I never had any expectations. My only expectation of that center was to get to the next galaxy. Because my friend, CJ, at work, he found out what was at the center before I did, and he was like, do you want to know? And I was like, well, I kind of just have a feeling that when you get there, it's going to take you to the next galaxy. He was like, how do you know that? And I was like, I don't. That's what I feel. And he was like, well, you're right, because there ain't shit there. And I was like, yeah, I didn't expect that. Because he kept talking about how this is a universe, and they've asked him, are there more galaxies or not? And he'd always kind of like say no, but like he didn't really want to, like he wanted you to find that out yourself. And I always, from before the game came out, I had a feeling that getting to the center was just going to the next galaxy. And I was right. Like, I was literally right on that. And I've never been disappointed with the center. It's just like, yep, I've kind of figured that.
I've not been disappointed with it because I've had no motivation to go there.
Right, I haven't.
When I first played, I've been to the center
that.
now. In creative, I have it mapped to, if anybody wants, the last stop before you get to the center. I have a portal there. I know the portal and everything, and I mapped out specifically if anybody, like in the Get Nick gang or whatever. I said, oh, I want to know what's the nearest one, because somebody else mapped it, but they didn't map they mapped one called the last stop, and then there's one I mapped the one right before that. And I went to the last stop, make sure I found the portal, so you can go to the last stop if you want. But when I first played it, and that's the difference, you see, because for me, I have two different gameplays that are going on with two different whole concepts. And when I first played it, I didn't know anything. I didn't know there was a center. I didn't know. I just thought it was like Minecraft. You went from one planet, you did your stuff in that planet, you build your ship up a little more, and you went to the next planet, and it was going to give you some clue or tell you something about something, and you were that was your levels. You just kept leveling up, and then you would eventually, something would come and tell you what to do. Well, nothing did, and then the person whose PS4 I was borrowing says, well, I gotta go. And so I went on and went on Twitter, and I said, okay, I'm playing No Man's Sky, and I'm kind of lost because everybody I watch has quit. What am I supposed to do? Like, do I go to the center? That's the end of the game. I said, just want to complete it for my videos, because I was videoing it, and I don't play Let's Play, but I have a beginning and an end. And they're all like, oh, you go to the center, you go to the center. Never said why I go to the center. They just said go to the center. So I just was going to the center. I was black holing it. I was going to the center. And then I get to the center, and I wasn't disappointed that it was going to take you to the next galaxy, because I knew that was kind of the sense. But I thought you get there and there'd be like this, you are here, yay! And you're given something, or you would, in some games, you know how you start over and then you're stronger when you start over, so you'd go to the next galaxy and you'd start over. But instead you went to the next galaxy and you were in the same place you were before, so it was like this horrible dream of, I just grinded out, so many jumps. Right, I grinded out so many jumps, and I got there, and then there was nothing there. So that was my only thing, and I was like, okay, well, I ended it, and that was it, and that was great. And I didn't ever expect to play it again, because I didn't, I was getting an Xbox One, I wasn't getting a PS4. Then the ARG came out. Well, then I started on Cobra's TV, because he kept bugging me, because I think because I was a female who played No Man's Sky, maybe just thought it was funny or something. I don't know. Not, because there's not that many females on his show, so he kept saying, you gotta come, you gotta come. So I started doing his show, And then I started to get into ARG. And so I asked my daughter for my birthday, would she get me a PS4? And I found her a game that she would really like to play, which was Ark and Don't Starve Together, because she likes Don't Starve. So that's how we did that. And then I had people wanting to buy me the game. They're like, you gotta get this game, you gotta get it before the update. I'm like, okay. So 2 weeks before the update comes, I'm out grinding the game, you know, to get a portal. Because everybody's like, get a portal. I have no clue why. I'm like, okay, I'll find a portal, you know. I've got people all over the place telling me what to do, and I'm like, look, I'm still trying to put the ship together, you know, and I'm remembering how hard it was to put the ship together the first time, and I'm thinking, well, at least that's a little easier, you know. And then the stupid rat bastards show up, and I'm thinking, God, could they have not taken them out of the goddamn game? Because they just make life so, you know, literally impossible. I didn't know nothing about the exotic stuff, you know, like those gravitino balls. I have a video where it shows me landing on the thing, and I jump out, and they start shooting at me, and I'm like, what the hell? And I jump back in the ship, and they leave me alone. I'm like, what's going on? I could never figure it out till the very end. I was like, oh, you want this ball, do you? Well, I'm taking it, you know. Didn't know what it was for. I just took it because, you know, they're being such asses to you.
Hey,
and it's
Grandmie
just
likes her planet balls.
Yeah, I like my balls. All balls. The golden balls, if I could figure out how to get them in the ship, I'd take them too and put them in the freighter.
Oh, that'd be.
But
I say that every day.
Use them and drop them out on some place on somebody. Like, woo! I could drop that.
All right, this is off subject and not weird or nothing, but I can't figure it out by looking at the chat menu of who's talking. But it's either Hidden or Ammo. One of you two, when you talk, sounds just like the announcer narrator of the YouTube channel Secure Team 10, the conspiracy channel. It's kind of funny.
There's a conspiracy there, see?
Oh, if it's about conspiracies, I'm gonna have to go check that out.
No, don't go. It's bullshit.
Secure Team 10. It's nice. It's really cool. It's one of you two though. I like every time you talk, I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, this is like the guy from Secure Team, and I know it's not.
It's gotta be Almond because you've heard me talk for a while.
Secure Team 10. It's a fun channel, but like everything that guy says gets disproved like minutes after he like posts the video, and I'm just like,
it's wild, yeah.
Maybe he just doesn't have the good conspiracies, or he doesn't know how to bring them forth so that they sound. Because a good conspiracy is kind of like Santa Claus.
Yeah, he gets to premiere a new UFO movie on his thing before it comes out, so that's going to be kind of neat.
Well, he's too calm. The guy from Secure Team 10 is too calm. If he was like Alex Jones, he'd just yell at you till you believe the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, at least with the older Alex Jones, anyway. I'm not in the past like 6 or 8 years, but in the older Alex Jones, at least they gave you the stuff that if you wanted to look it up, you could. Nowadays, it's more or less look it up through our website.
Yeah, buy these top of the line nutraceuticals.
Until Alex, I listened to Alex Jones until he came out and he was like, they're turning the frogs gay. I was like, you know what? I am done enough of you. Like, who cares if they're turning frogs gay? For God's sakes.
I thought he would be more apt to say they were changing them all to females, because you know there's this person that had this. I watched this thing. It was so funny because they had a Amazon frog, and the person was upset because all the frogs were females. And he didn't do any research beforehand, so he was really upset and thought it was a genetic mishap due to nuclear testing and cutting down the forest. And I'm like, dude, did you not do any research? So I made a comment on this thing, and I said, you know, there are frogs and lizards that are single sex, and they're female because female is the first sex that all things are because it's the easiest to make. And
Thank you, Ian Malcolm.
And I said, so you got to go and look this up, because when some female frogs will turn male after their adulthood when they don't have any male frogs around, then others just stay females. They do like Godzilla. They create their own babies. They clone them. They're just clones.
That's what happened in Jurassic Park. They talk about using frog DNA to fill in the gene sequence of the dinosaurs. That's why they're not. That's why they're not like actual dinosaurs with feathers and stuff on them. But yet some West African frogs can spontaneously change sex from male to female in a single-sex environment. Those are the exact words of Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park.
Yep. And so this guy that I sent this comment to got really mad at me. He was upset. He couldn't even come up with coherent debates. I was like, dude, I'm done with you because, you know, he blocked. He took all my stuff off and the comments. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, and that's what happens with people with conspiracy theories is that if they don't research it to have a good debate on it, then they lose out. And it's either people just believe them no matter what. I mean, you tell people that there's little white men living in their water, and if they're not careful, they're going to come out through their drain and drag them down into the sewer. People will believe that, whether you prove it's not true or not. You know,
there's only one conspiracy film that I will ever directly point out to people and say, if you want to watch a conspiracy movie, watch this. And yes, it's an Alex Jones film, but it's one of his older ones. Martial Law 9/11: Rise of the Police State. That one I will push out. It is very good, specifically because it has a lot of facts in it, and the whole Larry Silverstein thing and Building 7, that's something I believe people just totally overlook.
No, and it's something I haven't overlooked, because that's what the first thing I asked people is, why would Building 7 go down hours way after fucking Trade Centers went down?
I mean, I don't want to...
Larry Silverstein made the quote straight out. He said, we're going to pull the building, said it on live TV.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily want to, like, rehash 9/11 in a public stream, but like
it will all get investigated by the FBI by the time this is over.
I just got one thing to say, guys. Just one thing to say. God bless America.
I agree.
God bless America. But no, but old Alex Jones, I used to listen to. I used to listen to what he was saying. I used to follow it. The whole Bohemian Grove conspiracy that he unearthed was huge. Talked about, you know, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberger Group, and all of these things are very real. Like, but then he started to get a little too crazy. He started to talk about interdimensional shape-shifting lizard people that like can turn into humans and like.
So he's the one that brought that one up. I was always wondering who did that.
Well, it was actually a guy named David Icke from England. Yeah, he started that, but Alex
covered it a lot.
Covered it a lot, man, and he just started to go off his rocker, and I'm just like, dude. I used to listen to you and respect you to a degree, and it's like now you're just so crazy you have no credibility anymore. Rick McPherson says Kingdom Come, Deliverance comes up next week. I don't know what that is, but it sounds exciting.
That's a new game coming out. It's based off of like historical accuracy of a certain time period. It looks really good.
Yeah, if you're into that whole historical accuracy thing, that's everybody's been sending it to me because they knew I did Renaissance stuff, and I'm like, I'm not really into that.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
I prefer stuff like Assassin's Creed.
It looks really good.
Stories. I like those kind of things. I like stories like SM Sterling stories where the world all of a sudden doesn't exist, right, and everybody has to figure out how to make it work. I like conspiracy theories that become real in an alternative reality.
I'm waiting.
I enjoy, but
you should watch Black Mirror USS McAllister.
That's a good.
Yes.
Oh, and
I just watched Altered. I'm gonna tell you guys. I just watched Altered Carbon.
I want to see that.
That was a really great detective.
I want to see it. I'm gonna start watching that.
It was awesome. A lot of adult themes though.
What I would recommend for anybody that is familiar with the No Man's Sky like lore and the Atlas lore and all that, watch it. It's an older movie, but I feel like it inspired a lot of the lore writing for No Man's Sky. And I think I mentioned it before, but it's called Oblivion with Tom Cruise. Check it out.
I've seen that.
Yes, Oblivion. Yep, Oblivion.
Love Oblivion.
There is so many parallels. The guy is there's a whole thing about multiple iterations and this you can't trust this thing, and you got to watch it. So I don't want to give it away, but it's called Oblivion. It's worth a rental. Steal it.
My
fuck it, who
favorite
cares?
one
But
by him
check
from
it out.
the same time period was that Live, Die, and Repeat. But
That's a good one.
I've always liked that whole, you get stuck in a loop and the loop keeps going around. And he did that one. They did that one so well. Even if you don't like Tom Cruise, and even if it was, the aliens were kind of, it was, everything else was kind of, the whole concept of how he did it and the acting he did in it was so funny. The way they did the lines and everything, I was all like, oh, this is just great. Because it's absolutely what I would do if I was in a loop. Like, I don't believe this. And then I'm like, okay, what can I do? Because Stargate does one that's just awesome too with McNeil, where he gets stuck and he learns to play the piano and he learns French and You know, because he gives up. He's like, oh, I'm not going to solve this problem. And he does all this really stuff, and he tries new things. And that would be me. I would be so into doing that. I'd be all like,
I got a good movie for you that you guys may not have watched, and it will disturb the hell out of you if you watch it. It's a full movie. It's adult themed, not for kids, but it's a cartoon
As are all
that was
French
made in the
movies.
70s. It's called Fantastic Planet.
I've seen it.
It's something else, isn't it?
It's considered a cult movie for sci-fi. If you haven't seen it, then you're supposedly, you know how the highbrow people say, oh, if you haven't watched this, then you're not a real nerd, or if you haven't played this, you're not a real gamer, or if you haven't done, Fantastic Planet is on the line there. That and Metropolis, those are the two that if you haven't watched those, apparently you're not the thing.
I've never seen Metropolis, I don't think, but I love Fantastic Planet. The movie trips me out every time I watch it. It's like an acid trip with giant blue aliens.
Sweet, I'm there.
Trust me, man, it's something else. Humans are like pets to them, and we're small. It's
a very interesting movie, and it has a lot of things that make you kind of think about, well, what if this was the way it was? I mean, I just watched the movie Arrival, and that was awesome.
Great movie.
I want to watch that. I want to so bad.
It's such a good movie.
Even if you go away from the special effects part of it, the whole concept about language and how we always think everything's so linear, and probably if we met people outside, there wouldn't be much linearness going on, you know. And so I liked it. It's kind of has a bit of a slowness to it. The pacing is can be a little off if you're into the more faster paced movie, but it really developed really well, and it made you think. Like, you walked away thinking, because that's what I like about movies, where they make you think. You have to be careful about the rabbit hole. You have to be careful, if, as you guys say, the tinfoil, because it will drag you down. If you start watching too much conspiracy stuff, you'll start to get paranoid. I mean, that's just a normal human trait when you are faced with things that you're not sure about the answers of. And people just tend to start to go off and down the road. People like you say, like Alex Jones, or what's the other guy? There's another guy I used to watch that did a whole bunch of them.
Stranger Than Fiction News.
He just got really weird. He went off his wasn't lizard people though. He was sure that he had fallen through a time loop and was stuck in something, and it was hard to listen to him after a while because he's just babbling.
Well, I can't say much, and I'm not going to say much about this specific experience over a stream, but I did have an experience that involved other people that lasted about 2 months, and by the time it was over with, I was investigated by the NSA and Homeland Security, and my Facebook. All my Facebook information was sent to the FBI for review, and I got messages and a bunch of crazy stuff about it. But it was a very odd experience that I don't feel comfortable talking much about over a live stream. But it made me pretty paranoid.
Like that tends to get, a lot of people. I've been visited by FBI too. So.
Oh yeah, I put it this way: it made me believe this: entertain all forms of human thought, but accept none. And in a universe of incomprehensible, infinite possibilities, you, a rock, a piece of dirt, or the air around us, we are all examples of this infinite, unpredictable, unimaginable universe expressing itself from within itself. And that's about as far as I'm going to go with that situation.
And that's what happens when you slide down the rabbit hole.
Well, put it this way, truth really is stranger than fiction. And
also the thing, just because you're paranoid does not mean that they aren't after you. That's always that's something my grandfather used to tell me all the time. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean there's things that aren't going on around you. You just have to learn how to be able to read through what's real and what's not real. And sometimes people lose that because
last bit involving that, I did find a bug once. And it was around the same time all of this happened. I destroyed it, I documented it, I put it online, and then I destroyed it. And as far as I know, there's none here, but I wouldn't doubt it. So I do stay a bit paranoid due to this. It was just this one situation that really it kind of changed my outlook on everything, because I walked into it without meaning. Like, I didn't go hunting for it. It just kind of stumbled upon me, and I stumbled upon it.
That Rick McPherson wrote the Manhattan Project, so I had to laugh about that. Sorry. Well, you know, so going back to No Man's Sky.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was just wondering, you know, I really wish there was a way that you could get better demographics. It would be interesting. Not that I need, you know, not that I need to know per se, but it would be interesting to see who what age group and demographic, all the demographics, who's playing No Man's Sky. Just out of curiosity. I mean, we could guess that it was white males, you know, at a certain age. But it'd be interesting to see what people thought about themselves and on their ethnic part. And that's just for the sociology part of it. Because video games are so much part of our culture now. It's just interesting to see. I've never met anybody. I very rarely meet females who play games anyway. My daughter does, I do, and some of her friends do. But if I say I play No Man's Sky, I have never had anybody be negative to me about it. They're just like, oh, what's that game? Or, oh, I played that game, I didn't like it. Or what do you like about it? You know, why are you in it? When I start talking to them, they're all like, oh, I should take another look at it. Well, just because I like it doesn't mean you're going to like it, you know. It's just that this is why I like it. You know, I was introduced to Minecraft when my son was small. He's 14 now, so about 7 years ago, my daughter's all like, you gotta play this game, and I'm like, I have no clue, and lots of people were playing it, and I kept getting killed by stupid freaking Endermen, who remind me a lot of the little rat bastards, actually. Don't look them in the eye, you know. And so video games to me are meant to take you someplace else. Now, It can be anything. You can want to be a soldier and be a sniper, so you play, you know, COD. That's the hero concept. You might want to be a villain, so you play a game like Grand Theft Auto, because that's really about being a villain. And no matter how you want to look at it, that's kind of that idea, that wild side.
Villain's got a vil.
There's some other games out there too that are even worse than that I was reading about that cannot be sold in the United States. They're only sold in Europe because they go, you know, one step beyond that. No Man's Sky lets you become a space ranger. You get to be the exploration that you all dreamed about or read about or whatever it is. You got what's that new one? Megaton.
Me too, Rick.
So you get to be
it's such a good game.
Superhero or a supervillain. Again, you make the choices and consequences and stuff like that. Games are perpetually, from even way before there was electronic games, and you know, you talk about the Renaissance period where you're playing a lot of dice, you're playing a lot of stuff like that. Oh, good night. Have an interesting evening. When you talk about games like that, all it's for is to bring you pleasure of some type, for whatever way, to live out some type of fantasy that you wanted. For me, No Man's Sky is being a space ranger. I always wanted to go to space. I wanted to be an astronaut, but I couldn't. I couldn't do it. I had a goal. I tried it, and I didn't get there. So now, you know, the idea is like, what if they could teleport you, or what if they have that, what's that one where they shoot you up through the tubes? Can't remember what movie that is.
Oh, like Futurama?
Where they stick it in and you just shoot. Yeah, but there was an actual show or something where they did that, and they took them to the moon, and then from the moon they went out. They didn't have ships on Earth. They had the port. The moon was the port, but I can't remember what it's called.
If you guys want to watch another really good movie, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you will all like it. It's called Lunopolis. It's an independent movie. Lunopolis. It's generally new. It's about 3 or 4 years old. It's kind of hard to find. I had to purchase it through Google in order for me to get it. It's a movie that's filmed like a documentary mixed with it's like a found footage movie, but it's a documentary about the found footage. It's all like, fiction, but
Europa's Report.
Oh, that's a good movie.
In a way, yes. Yes, it is like Europa Report, except this is more about altered dimensions, and it mentions Men in Black and actual conspiracies that are kind of changed just slightly to different, to make it more fiction. It's almost like we us humans from now were the ones that actually we like shot a rocket, went back in time, and recultivated Earth and started the species that we are today. Like it's
Kind of
very
like Battlestar
complicated.
Galactica.
Hey guys,
It's very
so
That's that concept, Battlestar Galactica.
so real quick,
Very good.
I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to just our viewers, people that have subscribed to the channel. We hit 100 subs just a few days ago. We're at 514. So somebody subbed during the stream, which I really appreciate. So thank you to whoever did that. We really appreciate the support on the channel. And yeah, man, we're gonna keep streaming.
You moved pretty fast too.
I keep hearing that. For me and Hidden, it feels like it's taken a long time. But yeah, I mean, you know, we have a good time doing this, and obviously having people in the party chat and all that. This is really what we wanted to do with the stream. So I just wanted to say thank you to the people watching. Also, it's getting really, holy shit, that ship did a weird turn. It's getting really late. I've got work in a few hours, so I'm gonna probably end the stream and go to bed. Feel free to keep the after party going if you guys want to stay in the chat. Hidden, I don't know how late you plan on staying up, but if you want to stream on your end.
I'm cooking noodles. I'm good.
Okay.
Well,
But
I
yeah.
was getting ready to go too. I was just letting you finish out your thing, and I was going to say, thanks for having me on the stream, guys. You're always
Anytime.
welcome to come to my streams. I
Appreciate
know
that.
I stream when you guys are probably working, but it's usually Tuesdays between 3 and 4 o'clock. I will stream. Sometimes I'm a little earlier, and sometimes I'm an hour later or whatever. And if you guys want to come online and play No Man's Sky, but you don't have to just do No Man's Sky. I do Ark, I do other stuff. You guys are always welcome to just come in, and we don't have to. We can talk about No Man's Sky, and I'm playing Ark. I have people do it with me all the time. So
I
you
want to
guys
try
can
Ark.
come, and you know I love Ark. I love it. It's again, it's a whole
I'll be
different
downloaded.
aspect than No Man's Sky. So you know, and it kills you way more than No Man's Sky does.
But you get to ride dinosaurs.
No matter how good you are, but everybody, you know, I'm riding dragons right now, and I just ride. That's all I do. I get on and ride around the dragons for an hour or so.
Baby.
But yeah, it's really fun because that's a fantasy I always had, was to ride a dragon, you know. And you can, and it actually kind of feels like, even though you're looking in third party, that whole watching the dragon move its wings and everything, it just has an impact. And you can
That's
write it,
something
you can
else.
click it where you can sit and see over the head, so you know, so you're first person, you can do that. But I really like that whole third person where you're kind of floating behind them and watching that dragon's wings go, and it's just awesome. And so
I want VR.
I just wanted to say thanks for having me on, and you guys are welcome anytime to come on my streams. You just pop
love
in,
you,
you don't
Grant.
even have to ask. I only ask because I never know if you guys have like a set thing you're doing. You know, and then Tim, I'll start drawing you up a little taco dude. You need to get on my someplace, either my Twitter or something. It's just Shard Vixen, and let me know so I have a place to send it once I get it done.
Oh,
If
also,
there's a way for you to put it on PlayStation or Facebook, that's about all I use.
I
don't
can
even
get it to
have
your
Twitter.
Facebook.
now,
I can get it to your Facebook.
anybody that
So-
ever wants to get in the chat, or you have something to say, or an idea, or Waking Titan news, or whatever the case is, add me on PSN if you haven't already done so. It's Pandapoopie1, just the number 1, Pandapoopie with an IE. So add me on PSN, and you can come in. We always do an open chat party. I have a PS4 community, No Man's Sky community. It's literally just called the Hidden Panda Show. So you can join that. I usually will notify that I'm going to stream soon. You can post your stuff there. I do party chats out of that community as well, so you can use it to sort of piggyback in and just talk to us and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we do this for. So appreciate it. Grandmie, thank you for joining. You're welcome
Oh,
anytime.
no problem. It was a lot of fun. So
Tim,
thanks for having me.
You are fucking a legend, and you can come on whenever you want. HiddenJewAgenda.
Awesome.
Thanks for helping out with the chat section and with the commentary and all that. So obviously can't do this without you. And Randall, this was his first time on the stream. His gamer tags Almond Joy, fucking XXX or some shit like that. He can tell you. But thanks for coming in the chat. We'll have you on one day when it's just me, you, and Hidden, and we'll talk more about starting off in No Man's Sky, because there's a lot of people who forgot what that experience was like, and maybe we can start a series where we bring newer players on. So
yeah, because there's gonna be new people coming in from this ARG. I'm positively
yeah,
sure.
No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky's
Sky
survival guru in the Amino Hub. He sort of he came up with that idea, and that's something that we're going to start doing. So we're going to take new players that are new to No Man's Sky or coming back to No Man's Sky, and we're going to bring them in and just kind of chat with them and stuff like that. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching the stream. And
quick shout out to all our Facebook groups: Explore No Man's Sky, NMS Love, No Man's Sky, and of course the PlayStation community of Explore No Man's Sky that I run. So come join me and come join the Hidden Panda Show, folks. I'm gonna cook some egg noodles while everybody else goes to bed. 3 in the morning, baby.
Fucking egg noodles. Egg noodles.
Goodbye,
Anyway, guys.
Jack. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, Rick. If you're still
Goodbye.
Good night. Good morning. Whatever. Peace out. Noodles.